The scene begins in the dungeon of a silver dragon, where two guards and a girl stand on guard. The girl goes down. The guards instantly throw themselves on the side, recognize Her Majesty, and say hello to her. The girl states that they can go because she wants to talk to him alone. They agree, because before them, no other than Silver. She enters the cage and sees inside a person, addressing him as a great hero who defeated the dragon. He ironically asks how it is to become a prisoner of a dragon clan, replies by asking her to take his life. He approaches him, noting that he is a beautiful and brave man, and adds that a few more scars would make him perfect. She scratches him on the cheek. He turns away, screaming to stop degrading him. She tells her to either kill him or dismember, but did it quickly. Ross Weiss tastes his blood and notes that, having a lot of power, he would not be in such a pathetic condition if the villain did not substitute it. She invites him to think about joining the Silver Dragon clan. He, with a contemptuous smile, asks if she is worthy. Genus. Otherwise, it strikes, throwing it back. It crashes into the wall, coughing with blood. She puts her leg. She presses his leg to his chest and asks how the prisoner can afford to be so daring in her presence. She calls him Leon Kong. Osmosis asks if he still considers himself a great hero of mankind, who is sung by thousands. She laughs even more, asking whether he continues to dream of destroying the Dragon Clan and leaving the inheritance for generations. He orders him to wake up, stating that he will die here, calling him an uneducated and failure dreamer. Leon grits his teeth and murmurs about what he has the opportunity. Ross Weiss is interested in asking what he means. She laughs again, hinting that he dreams of how his descendants enjoy wealth and glory. However, she points out that he has no heirs, so he will never come. Leon brightens his teeth even more and warns her not to underestimate people. Ross Weissy grabs Leo behind his neck with his tail, commenting on his stubbornness, and begins to suffocate him. Suddenly, he turns to her as Her Majesty, which becomes a surprise for her. He calmly points out that she made two mistakes. The confused Ross Weissy requires explanations. Leon explains in detail. Her first mistake was to be alone with the most powerful fighter of dragons that had ever been trained. Her second mistake is to taste his blood. He then activates its cursed blood technique. Therefore, she stumbles by being cursed, and his release. She feels her body begins and asks what is happening. It falls to the ground, full of confusion and excitement. Leon explains that she will soon be doomed to endless pain, and her soul will remain trapped for life. Ross Weiss suddenly jumps on Leon, forcing him to shudder. She asks what is happening and why she feels such an excited thrill, closer to him as if kiss him and disappear. Later, Ross Weiss comes to mind and with a shout requires explanation what he had done to her. Leon explains that this blood curse is a forbidden technique that can only be used once in a lifetime. If someone tastes his blood, a soul's connection is created. When he dies, the curse will do the doomed to endless pain. This pale shadow screams from despair, asking why the curse touched it before his death. He also asks everyone if Rosvis was married. He confesses that he did not expect such a side effect, thinking that the pain would only appear after his death. He adds that it was an accident. Rosvis, Fald fierce, he exclaims that he is silent. Leon smiles cunningly and notes that, as far as he knows, the dragons maintain monogamy. After his death, the great Silver Dragon Queen will remain without a new partner and will not be able to have offspring. In addition, she will not even be able to explain the Dragon Clan why it happened. The impact of the forbidden spell exceeded all its expectations. He delicates her previous words that he has no descendants, noting that she will not have them now. Ruswiz squeezes his teeth from rage and rushes to him with the intention of killing. Ron smiles sinfully, asking if she dare to kill him. He reassures her that she has no need to do it, because he will die so soon. With sadness in her eyes, he tells her to live with hatred of him and pray all her life. He declares it by a curse as a person. Lion falls to the ground, and Raz, leaning beside him, notes that he is just a man. What an irony, activating the symbol on his... Once upon a time, this unknown space was a legendary dragon hunter. At the age of 5, he strangled the February Dr. Dog. This was seen by one of the best hunters for the dragons who passed by, and took him to the students. At the age of 10, he joined the Imperial Academy of Dragon Hunters for further training. 4 years later, he graduated with excellent results, achieving the highest evolution in history. In 2015, he stepped on the battlefield of the Dragon Octor, destroyed many dragons, won the Lost Territories, and gained numerous military achievements for the Empire. He is known as the strongest hero that exterminates the dragons, and the only hope for the victory of the Empire and the end of the war. He was grabbed by the dragon tribe. 2 years have passed since Leon was captured, and he has been waiting. He wakes up in alarm and asks where he is. A little. The girl enters the room singing that he woke up. Leon is too impressed with her charm, and Leon notes that it is, Leon is gradually aware of everything that is happening. Jessica reveals the secret of her transformation into a dragon, and knowing it somehow notes that it is. This is probably because he made a prominent contribution to the development of mankind, which can reach heaven, and she turns out to be a legendary angel. The girl asks what an angel is when Leon calls her a little angel and is interested in her name. The girl seems like a moon. He notes that the name is good, but thinks why this angel has such a strange hairstyle. Black and white hair? She says her mother explained, it means month. Some people think that angels also have a mother. Leon introduced himself as Leon Cosmos, to which Moen noticed she knew. Leon means lion. Leon asks who she told her. What Moen replies, what her mother said so. Leon looks confused and asks if it is possible to find out who her mother is. And why? Then Moen reveals her name, Ross Weiss. Peter. Leon asks if her mother really is Ross Weiss. Then who is he in this story? It just stunned him. To which Ross Weiss replies that she already knows, laughing at her. Finally, Lee woke up. In the Wednesday, my mother probably rejoices in her father's awakening because she comes to visit him daily, confirms that this is right. While Leon squeezes his teeth, Ross Weiss pat my... Dana asked her to go first because she has something to say to her father, and she agreed. Field asks if MUN is indeed his daughter, to which Ross replies, closing the door, Leon screams that hates her, and why did she decide to give birth to this baby? And why saved him? So Leon asks if she really thinks that he wanted it, because they are so different and cannot coexist. At other times, he would never touch her. Ross Weiss Cosmol thinks whether to touch her is also terrible for him. To which Leon nods. Ross Weiss pulls him into the abyss with him. Leon asks Taylor what she tries to do. Ross Weiss looks closely at him, stating that he wants to impose his own dragon pattern on him, which Leon screams so that she does not do it. She says it will be a shame, which means that he will be a prisoner and will never leave her. Drawing a dragon pattern on Leon, she said, when his compatriots see a dragon tattoo on his body, what do they think? They will suggest that the great dragon's fighter hero became a traitor who has obeyed the dragon clan. Leon is surprised why she went so far. Rosva notes on this. Does he not understand? The concept of revenge of dragons has always been difficult for human scientists who study dragons. Their revenge is inhuman behavior that combines paranoia and extreme measures that go beyond human understanding. Ross Weiss confesses that he wants to live in this shame until the end of his days, and she humiliated him constantly until the end of his. Leon felt hot excitement, thinking it was a very strange feeling. For the Queen of Silver Dragons Rusavis, it was a great honor to turn Leon, the greatest hunter, into dragons in history, a slave of the dragon clan, and in some sense the nearest partner of the Queen. Despite the fact that it is simply incredible from the point of view of people, he states that they are starting to start. In a huge castle of a silver dragon where the Queen seems to be in a good mood, despite the thoughts that her husband woke up like news. The thoughts are raging behind her back. This dragon actually declared everyone that he is her husband. She really scares. Recalling what she had done, Leon was horrified because she kept his whole day and his forces were on the verge of exhaustion. Seeing the guards at the gate, he believes that there are 4 dragons at the side door. There is almost no protection in the castle of the Silver Dragon, which is sharply different from the situation of 2 years. The silence and the surprise of this place are striking. Leon identifies new questions, thinking it cannot be a trap. He rejects these thoughts, convincing himself that now is not the time for hesitation. You need to go in all circumstances. Even if it is a trap, it will break at any cost. He says goodbye to the brutal mother dragon. A little dragon named Muene is very sweet, but she stays there so far. From afar, Muene turns to his mother, asking if Dad digs a dog for the dog, and how cool it is. Ross White says she saw how he did, and he was really impressive. New questions arise when the mother goes and leads it. The solution approaches it, emphasizing that using the word fish in conversation with your father is considered extremely impolite. You ask what words she should use for it, where Rossweiss reports that this is to catch him again. After a while, when Leon descends from the mountains, the borders of the human territories open before him. After a long run, Leon is convinced that Draconi will no longer be able to catch up. But seeing the dragon down, it is stunned. Leon recognizes that it is Ross Weiss. In the dragon's likeness, Ross asks whether he is really such a prudent runner that Leon is trying to escape. But Ross Weiss blocks his path. Leon yells that it is probably a lot of fun to play with him. Ross Weiss replies that is really very satisfied. She asks whether he believes that everything happened too smoothly and reminds who helped distract the guards and left him a loophole for sleep. Leon says that even if he knew it was a trap, he did not have a choice. He just didn't expect it to catch up so quickly. The solution asks what will happen when he returns to human lands, having a sign on his chest. As soon as John Leon begins, the love cult of the genus penetrates him. She is wondering if he believes that he will still be perceived as a killer of dragons. Leon screams that he will start his new life as an ordinary person, because it is better than tolerate her abuse. To this, Ross Weiss replies that he does not know how to gratefully respond to her kindness. Holding Leon firmly, she rushes forward. Leon yells to let him go and asks where she carries it. Responding, Ross Weiss assures that if he wants to return so much, she will help him in this. A little later, 3 hours later, near the border of the Empire, Ross Weiss rugs Leon to the ground. Leon flew through the branches of trees and, clinging to pain, noticed the signs of civilization. Leon asks in surprise whether it is a human town. Russia returns to its usual form, confirming that it is indeed a human empire. When he faces a long-lost human city, it really becomes human. She doubts whether he really believes that he can return to the world of people by simply crossing the threshold. With these words, the rooster blows fire and lights the branches. It reveals the truth to him. A return is impossible, though it seems that the exit is very close because his dragon's desire is activated. Rosways admits that she has forgotten to point out that when one of the two who has a dragon sign wants to have fun with another, this sign causes a reaction. Leon feels heat throughout the body, a passionate desire and intolerant train. He asks whether she wants to do it here, to which Rosweiss answers in the affirmative, wondering whether he understands why she brought him here. She wants him to feel shame so close to his hometown. Leon asks if she really believes that he will lose faith because of it, and shouts that will break. I will wait patiently at the right moment. When he comes, I will return to her doubly for all the humiliations that I have experienced through her. The Russian assures that he will wait for Leon. He is alive or dead, approaching him, near the border of the Empire. After jointly with Leon, Rosvis acknowledges that he is extremely satisfied with his recent skill, while Leon is crying. Ross will tease Leon, assuming that she brings him here every month to visit his hometown. Leon exclaims that she considers herself a dragon in a female likeness, with her head in the clouds, and plans how to exhaust him. The Rosa Viz notes that she was opened and opens her wings, emphasizing that they need to go, because they are waiting for their daughter at home. Leon asked her to wait, explaining that as a dragon fighter did not want to be caught like prey, and that he could move on her own. Ross Weiss reports that it takes at least 3 hours to fly from this place to the Silver City, while a person would take 10 days or even a crescent. Leon replies that it is only 10 days or crescent, so you should not underestimate the endurance of people. Rossway notes that she is curious to know how much time he can last. Subsequently, Leon is all in sweat and exhausted. Ross Weiss asks if Leon can't go, and he offers his help if he asks her. Leon exclaims that he is not tired at all, and asks who said he was tired at all. Ross Weiss notes that the only thing that is really complicated is Leon's tongue, which he reacts angrily. Leon suddenly hears noise and recognizes him as the movement of the killer of the dragons. He rejoices in the idea that these people can help him get rid of the dragon. However, when he tries to call them, he feels the tense and hostile look of Ross White. Leon covers fear. If he calls for help, Ross White will kill them without hesitation. One of the commanders asked to stay for a moment. Leon asked if they were lost. Leon said with a smile that they just stroll, thinking that he could not attract innocent people. The commander got off the transport and noted that this forest is not the most cultivated place for walks, because there are many dangerous species and wild animals. He asked if they could bring them. He introduced himself as Walker, the captain of the 47th Detachment of the Imperial Army of Dragon Fighters. Walker noted that his face seemed familiar and asked if he saw him somewhere earlier. Ross Volsch. Wise recedes when he is about to attack them, understands it is in vain, and support it, we're already nearby. She tells her that they were probably wrong because he was always popular. He adds that his wife often misses him. He recognizes her and is ready to return humbly, asking to help get rid of these people. Seeing them, feeling a romantic atmosphere between them, Walker departs, noting that they will not interfere with their love when they leave. Weiss asks if they hug it as often as Lee. She notes that it was reasonable not to seek help, but he still needs to decide on his own position. Just because they have children, it does not make it his wife. Go. He confessed that he never considered the opportunity to become her husband. Ron groaned with effort by blocking her attack and fell to the ground. Leasve asked if he had fallen, noting how fragile this man was. She tried to know the truth. Turns into a dragon. Putting it on your back, said. This time she will take it as a request for mercy when she will flee. Castle of Silver Dragon when Leon wakes up. And she asks him if he has already woke up. Retiring. Asks himself as he returned here. Muen claims that this mother turned him back. She noted that she had tied his wounds, noting that his hand is tied. Leon remembers the words of a dragonologist that dragons are a fierce people who lived since childhood in the conditions of violence and bloodshed. He thinks about whether it is that she is a hybrid of man and a dragon. Leon Patzer says Muen is wonderful and attractive, but when she grows, she should not become like her mother. It's an end. She realizes how strict the mother of White has in Ross. Patient offers Muen first to hide in the garden, and then he will come to look for it when he counts up to 100. Enthusiastically asks whether Dad wants to play with her and hide. Leon replies that he is not like her mother and asks her to go faster, while he counts out aloud. Moen replies that he does not look like her mother and asks to hurry. An alarmed Moen runs out, asking not to count so quickly. After her escape, lol, Leon denies, claiming that Moen is not quite a dragon and so sweet as it can be so harsh. Ross Weiss replies what to call the dragon cute. It is humiliating. Ross Weiss grabs him by the collar and says that he is only a slave to whom she drives her anger. She orders him not to run in advance. The deputy boss adds that it is good that he understands everything, because she is the queen of the clan of Silver Dragons and has many public affairs. She tells him that now care about children is his duty, and whispers adding that the child is sympathetic. He notices how Leon wanders the garden, muttering under his nose that he is a queen of dragons. It seems that he is obliged to take care of children. You notice a girl hiding behind a column, and thanks to this, he points to her, saying that he found, but she does not answer. Leon asks if she is angry, apologizes for making her wait, but she escapes, and Leon goes after her, asking what happened and why she escapes. Leon thinks for a moment where she went because he just saw her past. He thinks of how difficult it is to predict the mood of the baby, and is surprised why Ross has instructed him to take care of Muen. And here Muen suddenly comes from behind and hugs Leon. Leon asks if she saw how he just ran past her. Moo and moo. She denies, saying that her dad could not find her, so she went to look for him. I wonder if he was mistaken. According to Mian drawing, it is so immersed in the process that it is fully focused on it. Mayan runs to Leon with a joyful exclamation that drew a family portrait. Leon admires, believing that Mayan is wonderful and worthy of being. Leon looks at a sketch with 2 girls and 2 parents and asks why 2 girls are painted. Explains that she is her sister. Leo is surprised to learn that the boy has a sister. It turned out that he not only hit the target from 1 shot, but also punched it twice with 1 shot. She replies that her sister is not angry, only a little embarrassed when she saw her dad. He believes that it is all because of a dragon that hides this child from him, and now he needs to know the truth. Leon breaks rapidly. Ross. This wise question is aimed at Muniz, to which Leon screams that she went to play with her sister. He says she is skillfully able to hide something and asks when she planned to tell him that he had an older daughter, that he already knows that Regina prepared materials for its construction. Ross Weiss says he already knows everything and it is indignant at Leon. He emphasizes that he should thank her, because having a baby is a real test that he did not predict. Twice asks if he knows why she never told him about the existence of her older daughter. Leon replies that he considers her jealousy to his closeness to men, which is why she deliberately did not allow her daughter to see him as a father. Twice asks if he wants to see her on what. The scene goes to the kitchen. The first step of the peon on the way to rapprochement with her older daughter was to make her happy because of delicious food. He considers it a good sign because he does not want to eat now. He often prepared this dish for the team, and everyone who tasted it noted that it was delicious. The sweet taste is also pleasing to children. Leon, having tried the dish, thinks that she is not so bad, but his culinary skills are still at height. I am sure that this dish will certainly conquer Noah, and she will love the food that her father prepares most. Leon sings with. Seeing this, the maids whisper, "The prince just recovered after a serious illness, but still prepares for his family." He is praised, noting that he is really a good dragon that cares for his loved ones. Simply, and here comes Ross Weiss with their daughters, and everyone is welcome. In the dining room, Leon welcomes them, noting that they came on time. He runs to Leon, noting that it smells so nice here. Leon replies that she knows her love for meat, so he cooked a special stew for her. Leon believes that Noah feels her father's emotions. But when she saw that she turned her face, Leon was upset. The granddaughter is surprised to stop. Ross Weiss reports Noah that this is his first official meeting and asks him to introduce himself. "I am Noah Kmelkfi. The eldest daughter of the Queen of Silver Dragons grew up, and I have a year and 2 months." Leo knows that the cubs of dragons grow faster than human children. Leon is concerned why this baby is so cold and whether Owen approaches his sister and asks her to communicate more, so as not to put his father in an uncomfortable position. He claims that he looks so weak that there is a doubt whether their father really is. Blow to Leon's chest. Leon. He expresses his admiration for what she is, an exemplary daughter. Knows that 2 daughters have a similar appearance, but their characters are different. Theon asks Noah if she liked today, noting that he is disgusting when Leon is injected in his soul. That's right. This wise barely restrains his laughter, looking at how Mong and... She asks the mother if she is happy. Family. Seeing it so joyful, she also feels happiness. She asks Leon why he does not smile, to which Leon answers, which, of course, smiles and happy to be with her family. He asks his father whether he can dinner every day. Leon responds in surprise, mentally noting that he does not want to spend the evenings with this dragon woman. Interrupts him, denying it, arguing that in the Department of Young Dragons of the Academy of St. Gita, full of dragons, because she wants to defeat even more of the killers of the dragons, which forces Leon to break into food. Leon thinks that this child seems to win even his own father. Leon notes that the hunters of dragons are all brave, but Noah is still young, and in this way she can be dangerous. Noah announces Leon annoyed so that he does not treat her as a child. Leon is embarrassed, because in fact she is still very young. Wise wisely interrupts, noting that Noah's idea is quite good. The sooner it will master new skills, the sooner it will be able to withstand the killers of dragons. One of them refuses, stating that there are no objections on his part, until he finally realizes that this dragon girl intends to use Noah to psychologically attack it during this dinner. He is ignited by anger, thinking that she only has to wait because he will later expel her. Rose Weiss says that once her father agrees, it is decided that the entrance test to the Academy of St. Hit. After the family dinner, Leon turns to Rose Weiss, noting that these plates are not yet washed. Rose Weiss. Leon said that after dinner, the couple always cleaned and washes plates. Mevin looks at Rosway with interest and excitement, and she agrees. Mevin asks if she also wants to help. However, Noah grabs her by the hand and takes away, which is a lot of upsets the moon, which is surprised to go. Scene. Moves to the kitchen Ross wisely asks, but when he is really going to help. Crosswiz is interested in what he really intends to do, while Lee explains his point of view. Leon confesses that when he traveled at long distances and was exhausted, he was introduced into a trance and manipulated the dragon pattern. But now everything has changed. Ross Weiss fiercely attacks Leon with his tail, shouting whether he really thinks he can escape from this place, using such a trick. However, Leon blocks her tail. What is the question? Who said he was going to run? He activates his reception, forcing Ross to fall with insight. The Boyle thinks whether she can do something when the dragon pattern makes her tail extremely sensitive. When her tail is pinched, she becomes helpless as a kitten she was taken by the peel. He found this new knowledge in her book about dragons. He approaches her, asking whether the dragons seek to conquer and control everything around. But was she conquered once? Leon replies that from the moment of awakening, she trampled on his dignity and perceived it only as a toy for entertainment. He asks whether she wants to change the schedule for the night. The Rose in despair called him, calling the scum. From the outside, the maid laughed and thought whether the time of family embrace of Her Majesty of the Queen was over. In the kitchen, everything was perfectly clean without any dust. They wondered if it was. Not so tried, so tried. In the next room, Leon is looking at them. He asks the Du Weiss to be quieter because they do not want to find their maids behind the door. He thinks about how the queen, usually so majestic and unattainable, could coincide with this condition. Closes the eyes. He closes the door and says it's time to start calling her a beloved wife. The scene is transferred to the background. The bedroom lies Leon. Muin notes that her father has not woke up for 3 days, and he thinks if he died. Noah assures her just to wait. There is still no reaction, but that does not mean that it is dead. Asks if someone else treats his father. Leon is finally waking up, and Muin rejoices that her father was getting amazed. Leon asks when. He remembers that after that night, the dragon pattern lost his strength and his blow exhausted him. Woman. The dragon was so cruel that if he was an ordinary man, he would have died many times from her blows. If you look, it is quite good, and no doubt this dragon is a female sex that has lived over 200 years. Rosva comes across a pin that falls to the ground. Leon lifts her and inserts her into her hair, noting that she suits her. He replies that in his childhood, he often combed the mane of his owner and achieved a great skill in this. When asked what a donkey was, Leon explained, "Donkey is a little like dragons. They have 2 ears and a tail. They are very stubborn and love to buzz when they are dissatisfied, just like their mother." Weiss hit Leon, and he moaned with pain. Weiss also tells the children that today their task is to learn how to write their names, and they will teach them a father. Leon asks why she again instructed him without his consent. Owen rejoices that their father will learn to write, and Noah notes that she is able to. Owen supports Noah, offering to go to the room and find a colored pen. They discuss their favorite colors, moving to the exit. Roswell. Joyce remembers that her sister is visiting today, and she does not want Leon to appear in front of her. This sage appeals to Leon, noting that he is now a Draken man who has entered a clan of silver dragons. He was in a coma for 2 years due to illness and only recently woke up. He is wondering why she does not allow him to meet her family. She has only recently regained consciousness. If they come when they have to meet, he will have to play the role she came up with. Leon recedes, thinking about himself. If she thinks he will listen to her undoubtedly, then he is deeply mistaken. He thinks a grand plan to embarrass her in front of his sister. Children's Library of the Silver Dragon Castle. He teaches Noah and Meven simply to follow his advice and watch. He records their names on paper and asks to repeat these inscriptions several times. Know that it is not as good as what their mother wrote. Muin asks what their father plans to do. Leon replies that he just forgot to pass on something to their mother and now goes. He says goodbye to everyone, saying that he will soon return. Someone from the crowd throws a remark that he is stupid. Muin notes that she looks quite happy. Noah denies, he says that this is not the case, and asks Muin to write down everything faster, though he really rejoices inside. Scene. The scene is transferred to the gate of a silver dragon where, after all, Ish Meltvi, Queen of Red Dragons, was mounted on the port. Ross Weiss welcomes Ish with arms, saying that she had not seen her for a long time. He replies that only a year has passed, but Ross Weiss looks much more blushing. Ross Weiss denies, saying that he does not think. Your worth. He notes that she heard about the awakening of her husband, Ross Weiss, and asks why she can't meet him. He tries to explain that it is not very good today and cannot meet her. She doubts whether it is true, saying, because she is also interested in seeing what the Dragon King looks, who stole her sister. She is a man from her family. The baby had to give birth at lightning speed, too. It begins to be embarrassed, reflecting whether the marriage and the birth of children are good. She also adds that she does not feel any train, neither now nor in the future. Issa believes that Ross White still has a steep one, as before. Ishapushi says that a lot of time has passed since their last meeting and offers to go to the garden to chat. While walking, watching all this through binoculars, comments that he will soon return. Try to find out how far the dragon drawing can stretch. Ash. Rosweiss has reached the garden, where Aisha noted that the dragon clan has been unstable lately, especially the king of the red fire dragon, who is very active lately. Crosswell asks whether it is Constantine, and is surprised why he has not been visible for so many years. Suddenly, the scheme of Rosweissa was activated. He has to ask if something happened to Rosways, but she denies and calls on. The teeth glitter, thinking that it is a damn fighter of dragons, which may have to strengthen the border defense, and she will send Sinlin to contact Ross Weiss in case of any news. Feeling the heat throughout the body, she thinks whether the effect of a dragon pattern is gaining force. She is worried that if it continues, it may lose control. Ash notes that she does not look good because her face blushes. Ross and I will see you next time. She tries to hold on to her hands, claiming that she suddenly remembered the urgent business to be resolved and promises to return in 20 minutes. She proposes to go together, but Rossweiss refuses and disappears hastily. He should point out that she notices a familiar Draken pattern because young people are actively playing with it. The events are carried inside the castle, where Leon has fun. He thinks of how long Ross Weiss can withstand. Ross Weiss bursts in. Leon exclaims, astonished by asking how she returned so quickly. Ross Weiss takes, and the calling state states that specifically chosen this moment to cause resonance in the form of a dragon pattern. He did this only to disgrace her in front of his sister. Leon decides. It releases it and rotates the face. Happy to read, Leon thinks. He tries to say that this shameless and defeated prisoner says nonsense and asks him to reject these meaningless ideas. She clearly came here to deal with him. So why did she scare her only a few of his words? Ross Weiss tries to retreat, noting that he is lucky now, but if he repeats it, she will not let him go. Leontis follows her quietly, thinking he is not afraid. He is wondering how such one and only rough phrase can cause such indecision. He reflects on how strong this dragon pattern is. He hits himself to wake up and reminds himself not to hammer his head with nonsense. He remembers the children are still waiting for his return because Moon and Noah patiently wait for their father. The Silver Castle of Dragons at night, Ash. Prepare for departure, saying that he will go today. Ras Winderderd asks Ash to be careful on the road. Ash, train. Turning into a dragon, she asks if she will be able to meet her husband next time. Ras Wanderderd agrees, noting that they will discuss it at the next meeting. The damn killer of the dragons believes that she has not yet taught him and plans to demonstrate him a lesson tonight. Thinks whether the female dragon is still quarrel because all children. Blanket. He covers them. Cover them with a blanket so that they do not get cold. While Leon is trying, Ross Wisa confirmed that the room should be left. Ask him a question where Leon asks if her sister has already left. Twitch do. See you next time. She smiles and says they still have things to today. It pulls. Go out. Leon tries to argue, but he is still pulled with him. In a silver dragon, in the royal bedroom, Leon brings out a bucket of hot water signals that hot water. The water is ready. Interestingly, Do plans to do it with it. She says she is terribly tired after a whole day on her feet and asks her to wash her legs. Perplexed, Ross Weiss. It orders to stop staring and do as it is said, emphasizing that it is a punishment for his or her current actions. Leon thinks he is a good person. He still considers himself a killer of dragons, but now he must become a slave who will wash his feet of a woman's dragon. He swears his fate. He thinks that a women's dragon really knows how to enjoy life. He thinks how many corpses of the defeated dragons have passed under her feet. Ross Weiser. Some reflective habit. Leon Quintet. Wash your legs quickly. Hurriedly pouring them with hot water. Grosswiz. She wondered if she tries to take revenge on her. Consciously, Leon Grow. He says he wants to see how long he can withstand. Leon thinks he cannot obey the tyranny females of the dragon and grab into her power. He states that he eats pork, beef, and goat's legs, but never tasted dragons. Roos, why not sign up on our channel? Retroy's back, asking what he is doing. Leon. Russia limps, walking forward. Leon hints at the reasons why Rusya is lame, but the smile of the Russian denies all suspicions. Leon has a bruise on his face, but he denies it. They probably played some fun games without telling her about it, and she also wants to join while Noah is watching her. The garden beyond the castle of the Silver Dragon is spread around the Ross River. Recently, while walking together, one of the maids in surprise asks himself why it seems like a queen and a prince are not very familiar with each other. Their relationship looks completely different than one could expect. A strange tension prevails between them. He did not find an explanation for himself why everything happened. More recently, he was surprised when Razviz suggested stroll together. He himself didn't understand why this walk should be, but Rasiswek was already. He replied that maintaining the illusion of family harmony in front of others is part of his work. Leon could not help but notice that there is something wrong with the Rosness today. She was never so active, and he thought she thought. Meanwhile, she feels pointless because she cannot even take the Du of Wysa by the hand. She exclaims that, decisively takes Leon and Du Wysa by hands and connects them. She solemnly states that they should hold hands while walking, and so she reaches her own. Cheerfully bouncing, she says he goes to play with his sister. Leon is still confused. Mevan covers his face from pain, promising that he will no longer do, and she asks her sister to let her go. It's not worth the excitement. Leon, still feeling inconvenience, notes that Rosva looks unusual. Mentally notes that Rosva always appears to others as a queen with an unmoved, distant look. He never thought something as simple as to take a hand would be able to break her coldness. Perhaps her strict maternal image is only a mask because she cannot approach children. Leon then raises the topic, the fact that Mevan and Noah are always called her mother in her presence. The rocker looks at him with surprise and asks if there is a problem. They never explain it. Usually the father is called with his mother, but while Mulan calls him dad, she turns to Rusways as a mother. It is doubt, however. Apparently their relationship has some distance. Otherwise, why it seems like that? Leon thought, is there a significant difference between the words mother and mom? The smile on his face flashed when he was thinking about this question. He confirms that there is such a difference. He suggests that they call her a mom and is convinced that it will help them become closer than now. Ross Weiss. He escapes with surprise. That is why she suddenly moves away quickly. Rossway turn. He asks if he is bored for home. Leon, stunned by an unexpected question, answers that she does not understand the cause of her sudden interest, especially given that she will still not let him go. However, Ross says he will not be able to make him return, but there is something that can make his sums a little easier. Scene. It is sent to the castle. At the gate of the castle, Lei follows him. Pursuing, Rosvis asks where they go. She replies that the place does not have a specific name. You can call it some kind of storage, pantry, or something like. It doesn't matter. While they come in, Leon instantly realized that this repository of the dragon treasures. The room is overflowing with invaluable antique things, some of which may be hundreds of years. The treasures here are much larger than that of Kim Ju Hansen, and they fill the space from the ceiling to the floor. It is amazed that if these treasures were in the Empire, they could be easily sold for hundreds of thousands of gold coins. She remembers the tiarat she gave her when she was a baby. She adds that, in addition to prey, there are things that are of particular importance to her personally. Liang, chickens. Andreas asks why she talks little about other members of her family except her sister. The answer is a little sad. She explains that she has never met her father and mother. She and her sister were raising her grandmother. Leon. Come grading, Leon tells that he grew up in an orphanage and never knew his parents. He was adopted by the owner and his wife, who raised him as his native. As they continue, walking through the treasury, Leon asks what she brought him here to show him. Ross Weiser stopped and he stands in front of a big chest and says he has something that can temporarily help him forget about worries. Leon is intrigued. Watching Ross Weiss opens the chest, showing gold armor inside. He sighs enthusiastically, recognizing them immediately. Ross Weiss is wondering whether Leon always dreamed of returning these armor. Leonovo. Staying in distrust, he asks if it is not a dream. Does Ross Weiss really bring him back to him? She smiles mysteriously and confirms that he really returns it. Leon stretches to touch, but when his hand is approaching, the magical power repels him. Then he realizes that he is really an ordinary person. She is aware that armor is fascinated by a dragon label. Leon thinks that the black gold armor of his brother has disappeared. Ross Weiss, seeing. Her reaction is a mocking laughter, pleased with the trap. Now Leon, annoyed, clasps his teeth, realizing that he has outlined. And now, when a dragon sign is activated, Leon asks that Ross Weiss did with him. Rose Wiss with slide, smiling, explains that it attached a dragon pattern to the surface of its armor, which significantly enhances their properties. At the moment when Leo touches her armor, she is activated. He notices his struggle and recalls that the improved Draken pattern has doubled the efficiency of armor. While the moment when Leon tries to move but feels that his body seems frozen, the muscles do not obey. Rossweiss is closer, asking if he can withstand it, calling him a expensive killer of dragons with a mocking tone. Leon, hardly able to pronounce her name, he cannot move. His body remains paralyzed due to the influence of a dragon pattern. Feeling in him that its lower body has become stronger than ever is filled with an unrestrained heat. which it cannot control. It gives it even more humiliation. He reproaches himself for his slight subject to manipulation. Ross Weiss is enjoying his inconvenience. She sits on top. Her eyes shine with wasteland. She asks if he really thinks that she does not keep evil for having conquered her earlier. She admits that she planned revenge for the last few days, reflecting on how to reduce his vigilance. She smiles without hiding the surprise that he was so easily trapped. Leon. Ross White, boiling with disappointment, quietly curses it. He screams, asking whether she told him today was a lie. It requires to know if she really met her parents, whether her request to call her mother and hold her hands were only an uprising. Ross White begins to undress, playing words. She asks she really enjoys the process of conquest and asks if he is ready for it, calling it by name. The warehouse continued to exist, and it took a while. Leon, exhausted, finally exclaims, thinking that everything is over. But when he looks at the Rova, for her actions, Ross Weiser, Tristan tries to avoid her gaze, thinking that she is trying to trick with him again, but this time he will not succumb. Ross Weiser, however, she just laughs and notes that he really became smarter, though his health, not what it was once. She laughed joke. He is no longer as sports as before. Leon realizes that his physical form leaves much to be desired. He was once. It hurts. And he breaks on the annoyed cry, feeling devastated both physically and emotionally. Next day, Ross Weiss meets him with a funny smile. Joke that it seems like last night he did not sleep. Leon, gnashing his teeth, he waves, murmuring that it is all because of her words and actions. Smiles Rossway. Watching from afar, Ross Weiss realizes that everything begins to gain momentum again, by its usual power tone. She informs Leon that the entrance exam at the Hit Academy is very harsh, and he advises him to begin Now's knowledge of dragons today. After all, for so far, the only way to prove his value for him is to know in other areas. Leon plans to take this opportunity to get from Ross Weiss something equally valuable in exchange. Ross Weiss. Green reminds her that the promises should be followed, and he expects their implementation. She necessarily maintained her word. The one who listened to the conversation asked why Leon and Rosvis were arguing. Leon, trying to look calm, explained that it would not hurt to play a little with the game. It is only their usual daily communication. But then he asked, Noah, she just called it sharp satire. Noah looks at him with surprise in his eyes, and he replies that she called her mother. Leon is a little worried, but in surprise, Leon asks whether Ross Wise suggested changing the name and whether she likes old or new. Noah, without thinking, replies that she likes the present. With a smile on his face, he rejoices that his idea has succeeded. He says Noah that he knew that they would surely like it. Stroke, rapidly moving away. Looking forward to when you can start training. Leon, a little nervous through a future tutoring session, sounds it, asking him to wait for him near a silver store with drinks. Dragon Castle. In the nursery, Leon is immersed in books, reading them aloud. Ross Vasbunden. It enters, saying that it is too late and he has not slept yet. Leon replies that Noah's voice is powerful. It has a special way to perceive information, so ordinary learning is not suitable. He decided to systematize basic knowledge and associate them with test tasks for the teacher. So now he has to work late to prepare the curricula. After the teacher's task got Rosvases and Ju-hin, he is now forced to work late on the curricula. He notes that Noah is a very smart child, and I am sure that he will be able to prepare her for the test in just a month. Rosways is confidently replying, what is inevitable, because Noah always follows her. Leon replies, that's not quite true. He was a burden. Rosvis tells what the champion it is. Now she has come to the background. Previously, she always considered him a reckless man, capable only of fights and murder. She did not expect him to be an excellent student. Rosvitz confirms this. Leon grunts. How did it happen that he, being so powerful, became her prisoner? He confesses that once lost, he made a fatal mistake, can lead to eternal pity. The tiger in difficult times becomes a victim of pressure from the dragon. Ross Weiss has fun that he seems to be a dragon's rider. Ross Weiser SpongeBob. Chili's Pepper asks what he will do with him. He replies that he took the pepper from the kitchen to freshen up by biting a piece. Ross Weissa warns him to wait, reminding him that it is a dragon yellow pepper, and because he is a man, she is afraid that he will not withstand. Leon feels. He asks water from time to time, but encounters the complaint that it is not here. Ross Weiss Holden, and create a sense of true comfort for him. Do you feel cold? Leon notes that the tips of Ross Weiss's fingers are icy, but where they touch, there is a real comfort. Verdlow is as cold as ice, but with a gentle, nice, cool touch. Thank you, Leon. She says it's all right now, although both feel awkward. Ross Weiss tries, asks Leon to go to bed earlier and not eat too much chili. If he bakes in his mouth, he will have to teach Noah sign language. Leon agrees, reminding her to protect herself. He thinks he really is a way to restore your body faster. He learns that Fred believes that the dragon fruit has the ability to regulate QU energy and blood. He says that this may not be crucial because the internal consumption of lotus herbs can improve digestion. Stunned by what was seen near Dragonbank. Powerful momentum. Next day, Leon appeals to Noah, reporting that the test she just made was checked and the maximum score was 100%. He asks what result, in her opinion, she got. Noah replies, maybe it is 50. Leon views that it is 62 points above her expectations. Noah is pretty inspired. Leon is full of determination, concerned, thinking if it is dissatisfied with its estimates. He believes that this girl has high demands on herself and should take care of her self-career. Free as Mosin, but took the initiative to study at school. Leon clapped her on her shoulder. She said she received 62 points on the first attempt, that she was impressive. Thank you, Noah. He apologizes. He thinks that he went from chili yesterday because his throat is itching today. To cheer up, he ate a few more peppercorns. Noah no longer remembers what happened. Mother's words that her dad made a curriculum for her last night was moved by Noah. Although he seems unpredictable, Dad was actually the best student. No one knew it. Last night, Dad ate an extremely sharp yellow pepper of the dragon clan so that he would not fall asleep, so it would be strange if his throat was not injured. Noah provides a vacation. What exactly her mother gave him it. Not her. Leon's smiley. Miles asks Noah to thank her mother. He believes that this child is reminiscent of Du Weiss. From the outside is cold, but in fact, he simply cannot express his kindness. Leon intervenes in conversation, and they enthusiastically continue their studies. The relationship between the father and the daughter became, they prepare, calling Leon, Prince Lord, reporting that all the herbs he asked to find have already been collected. He offers, expose all herbs. He thought that he specifically ordered more grasses so that no one guessed what he was planning. He is convinced that the medical materials needed to create the Great Dragon are quite common, and it seems that the process of their processing is not too complicated. Leon is amazed as it may be that even the most talented pharmacists of the Dragon Clan have a little chance of success in creating the Great Dragon. Leon. Following the recipe, it grinds and prepares herbs that plans to use and puts them in. The description of the division method in the book provides too high temperature. It can lead to inactivation of the drug, and too low tempera may not allow the medicine. Leon understands that Leon is aware that it is impossible to achieve separation manually, because professional tools are needed. The master often emphasizes that if one method does not work, other approaches should be sought. He asks himself if there are other effective methods for separating medical residues. Levin swayed from the roar. He wondered if the rain would come soon. It goes to the window. He looks out the window, reflecting, and the thunder calls. Mentions about, in alchemy class, the teacher once noted that electrolysis of impurities sometimes has a higher, using an element of thunder that is not mentioned in the book. Its strength is the magic of lightning, and although the forces of magic have only recovered a little, it is more than the usual alchemist can imagine. This is enough for such fine manipulation. After half an hour, using his ability to drive a thunder, he eventually creates a pill. Leon believes that the dragon is a real monster. Arose with the question of what Leon does. Leon replies that it is really worth it. He calls. She came out of the UN to stop trying to eat it, but she asks whether Dad candies. Leon says, it is a medicine he has prepared for his mother. Moane asks if she is sick, but Leon denies. He noticed that his mother was very busy recently, so he decided to prepare something nutritious for her, and Moana said not to worry. In fact, these medicines were for him to cope better in difficult situations. And here's the task for the father. to support and take care of the daughter as soon as he recovers. When the thunderstorm is no longer threatened, it will again become a reliable support for her. The atmosphere in the room remains tense, and Leon is thinking, make a decision now when the door knocked and Ross Weiss came, enters. Leon turns to Her Majesty, asking why she is here. Ross Weiss answered. She learned from Muen that he prepared for her medicines that resemble chocolate candy to stabilize her condition. Leon Gronk. Leonie, do not be nervous. She is not for questioning. It is simply amazed that you were able to create such a simple medicine in such conditions. The solution is interested, what he improved and whether he can show it. He emphasizes that even if he refuses, she will still apply force to pick it up. It is amazing how such a perfect dragon force in such conditions. Now that we have completed, Leon states, now that we have finished with Silver Shod, we can always stop taking liquid and create a taste. But first, you need to collect the main metals that were crushed and collect them. He says he can leave it, but now cannot take this medicine. Asks why it happened, on what, that this tonic drug for the draconian race exceeds, which can perceive the human body. Leon doubts whether this remedy really has such power. Ross Weiss review. It continues that if he has no dragon strength, he has already won numerous kings of dragons, so why can't a little pill be resisted? It is addressed to Ross Weiss, urging not to underestimate it, and swallows the pill. Courage is the anthem of humanity. Ross Weiss is concerned that he will not be able to cope, but too late. At this point, Leon has everything inside. Ross Weiss. She barely wore heels. The intelligence was removed. He asks him to look carefully. It is the courage and determination of human nature. He tries to inhabit the impact of lightning, which covers everything. The whole room seemed to be trembling when Leon shouted, causing lightning. Ross Weiss. The surprise is to use lightning magic on your body. Leon Feinson wondered what he was doing. Falls, but Ross White, he barely holds him on his feet. He notes that he is true crazy. She stops her by pinching her tail. Near her tail, addressing her as a wife and asking where she goes. Ross White. Surprised, she does not understand such a reaction and asks who this wife is, at the same time answering him. To let her go, but Leon still holds it firmly. She thinks whether it was a magical power of lightning element changed the effect of medicines when it was unconscious. I watch he look like a fool now. So he is not threatening his life yet. What she asks here, what happened, I ask her to tell her. The only thing that can be told, he was not able to properly take care of 2 children from her first pregnancy, and now he wants another child. She tells him to forget about it. Leon grunts that he wants a second child, and he makes a whole performance. Ross Vayed is amazed. Thank you for looking. To avoid unnecessary complications, it is better to simply keep his words. Declare that they return after being settled in a new place that makes Leon is happy. Ross Wise believes that this guy annoys even more than the one when Leon comes closer. Leans up to her for a kiss, but Ross Wise demonstrates. Lieutenant Simaway denies Leon the opportunity to take advantage of the situation. Ross Wise is confused. He does not know when the effect of this medication is over. Russ Wise. He pressed Leon and called him a fool. Russ Wise is very concerned and cannot resist that he is attacked. Asks if everything is fine with him. Leon stat. That he feels some discomfort because of the dragon pattern. Ross begins to operate in YS mode. That causes her to get embarrassed and be surprised. He loses his ability to specific questions. What does he do with Lee? He confesses that he feels very bad. He is hot and his chest is itchy. Ross Weiss. Ron kisses Ross Weiser's tail and enthusiastically notes that the smell of her tail is incredible, and it is he who loves the most. Ross is worried that if everything continues so, it can get into the mess. She grabs him by her face, noting that her tail is constantly stretching on the ground, and she is wondering if it is not worried. Neon comes closer. Ross warns that he put his finger on her lips, whispering to be. He tries to evade the question in a high way. Her thoughts are overwhelmed by what is happening, because this man's behavior is completely different than before. This crazy cruelty cannot be rejected. And she really has little expectations. Leonov. Ross Weiss insists that it is only today, Zane. To act accordingly again. Ross Genus welcomes him. He is resting, taking a nap. In the rear. He asks why she is here in real life. Feels that the whole body hurts and the mouth. The memory is somewhat different. When he asks Ross about the events of last night, Ross asks if he remembers nothing. You are wondering if you have forgotten it. She shows all the bites that remain on his body. Leon is aware that there are many scratches on his body, and he thinks whether he has caused them. Sorry, but it seems that this text is not complete enough. If you give me a little more information, I will gladly help you with the improvement of the text. Shouts and denies. Yes, right. Does he remember as yesterday he pleased her to join him? Call him. Calling him beloved and declaring that it was all the last, she mimics his request, as if he had felt very bad, and begged to help him only this time. Leon calls her not to repeat it because he remembers everything himself. Ron believed that he found the draconian drug only to maintain the health of his body and to give a lesson of the remover. He did not expect that this remedy would be so effective. Leon. He adds that she should now know if he is in good health and continue to tell him that he is not good enough. Ross White looks carefully at Leon when she comes closer to declare he is completely satisfied with his yesterday's performance. She calls him the winner of the dragons and hopes that he will continue in the same spirit in the future. He now works in the service area. Other comments relate to the replacement of the name of the couple. She confesses that she is curious about whether he thought about what kind of request to voice. If you can send someone to the Empire to find out about the condition of his teacher and wife, Ross. Leon is surprised by such a turn of events and thanks her. Scene. Events are transferred to the garden of a silver dragon near the castle where Leon sleeps and Viola draws. She asks for herself if he was not ill that Denise asks why Viola is interested. When Viola says her mother told her, Daddy took the medicine on her own yesterday because the man cannot admit that the patient. They say that the dragon said such a child. This raises the question of its dignity. When a quarrel. She asks for herself if her dad is really sick, and whether it is because the drug is ineffective or maybe he has taken too small dose. She shouted that she did not imagine her life without a father and begged him not to die. Leon suggested that she make a new toy today, and it was delighted to MUN, because she agreed that she was adored to the toys above all. Creates a Rubik's Cube, noting that it is a small toy that it can twist. Rubik's Cube. The study of the principles of simple mechanical compounds in mechanical alchemy classes seemed exclusively theoretical. Who would have thought that he would be able to apply this knowledge in practice when it was time to use them? But he does not find anyone. Muin asks what happened, but Leon denies the problem. He felt the gaze of the dragon and wondered whether it was the same direction where Noah was engaged in physical training. However, the child did not rise to join them, and he decided to make one toy sword for her. Rubik's Cube with a letter from Noah's dad so that he can try his hand. She convinces herself that she is not interested in such children's toys, but in reality, it is not. She is overwhelmed by admiration by solving this task to thank her dad. Moyne notes changes in the treasure box. She tries to look because she noticed that her sister has been behaving strange lately and often hiding things in a box under a bed, telling her nothing. Using the moment until the sisters are gone, Detective Moyne decides to look inside and find out what interesting things are hidden there. Detects Rubik's Cube from Leon, fragments of his black and gold armor, and a name written by Leon. It all seemed related to his father, and in fact, her sister treats their father very well. Noah comes from behind, and Muen warns, warning that she is not allowed to do so. The Academy of Cat is an aristocratic college among the Dragon Clan. It is characterized by strict standards of introduction, where families of entrants play an important role in selection. The Hit Academy believes that a harmonious family that promotes the ideals of dragons is needed to grow future young dragons. Regardless of the birth method, such entrance only selects in families with genuine love and mutual response. Only one person immediately drew attention to the emergence of a new dragon, maintaining the honor of the family and the Roman Republic. It was John. But that's what happened. To create the illusion of a harmonious and loving dragon family, the Queen of Silver Dragons decided to have a family walk and take a joint photo in the Celestial City. Leon gently bows when Maun is down. Mon appeals to his father, asking why he does not turn into a dragon, because she wants to see it. Leon Thames. Leon looks at the rows of visazes. Leaxis explains that his father's body has not yet recovered, so he cannot turn into a dragon now, but promises that he will show it when he recovers. Rosvi urges everyone to get out because today you need to go to the city and do certain things. Sleep and Noah run outside, shouting that there are so many dragons here, and Noah is worried about her little daughter. Leon is trembling. Ross White. He thinks that this man trembles. recognizing that it is probably the first time he sees so many dragons after awakening from a coma. Ross White, Leon points out and is happy to share with her admiration. Leon points to the dragons, noting that they are a first-class treasure that has flooded the streets and now it will get rich. Roswell sighs hard, realizing that she was in vain because of him, while Leon thinks about how much money he can get if she brings them all back. Once on the spot, they are met by representatives of the reception who greet the Silver Queen Dragon. They express the joy of serving her and her family. And he noted that there are so many photos of dragons. One of them notes that her queen status is slightly inferior to Ross's status. Sus combs with the selection of Leon's foot, forcing him to moan. Ross Weiss calmly points out that she is higher than him. An old woman. The woman says that they are great for them to take a family photo for the Queen of Silver Dragon. Ross Weiss replies that in the dragon community, all praise her photographic abilities, and they are happy that they managed to appoint a meeting. The woman asks about the story of her husband, and Ross Weiss explains that she does not like. She chose a suit for him without any stories. Leon once staged a scene, saying that he would never wear a tailsuit, even if it is a matter of life or death, because it concerns his dignity. The elderly woman insists that they first come to the place and try their clothes with Munson, dressing in a white suit. When he is praised, it is noted that it looks extremely attractive as always. The elderly woman notes that the suit is very suitable for the prince, and apparently in the past he has been very popular. Appeals to Noah with the question of her well-being, to which he looks carefully at both and notes that their skirts are also very cute. Ross Weiss comes out in a black dress, and Moo, as passionate about it, looks incredibly beautiful, as well as Lee. Plus he asks what he is doing, and Leon barely confirms that it suits her. Royce wisely points out that it would be great if he had a tail. Leon states that he will never wear a tail in life. Moon calls for Mom and Dad to come here as soon as they get into the frame. An elderly woman says it's time to take photos and asks Her Majesty with the prince to approach closer. The only thing that remains is the right choice. Note that they are indeed like a couple. The woman reported that it would take about 6 hours to show photos. Meanwhile, Her Majesty will be able to stroll through the heavenly state where Noah is overflowing with excitement when Mevan offers to go there and look. Rosweiss confessed that he never thought that one day would be able to go with her for shopping. It was something new for him. He adds that it is necessary to maintain the image of their family. Noah is very responsible for entrance examinations because she was carefully preparing. Taking up whether there are shooting games here, Moon will shout his name. No signs. It notes that balls of this toy weapon consist of magical energy, and for their use requires accurate control of magic. The elderly person noted that if they both want to try to hit all the balls for 10 shots, they can pick up a couple of dolls that their daughters seem to want to get. The old seller specifically invited children to attract the attention of parents and make money, asks children if they want these bears. What Noah only shrugs, noting that it is not interested in it, and adds that he does not want to participate in this story. Do not ask the person to give him 10 shots, pointing to Ross Weiss that he will pay. He remembers that a lot of time has passed since he was holding weapons. The last time it was at the Academy of Dragons. Lien tries to hit the target, but at first he fails. And so, with a smile full of trick, a man thinks that he made changes in weapons so that no matter who tries, it was extremely difficult to engage in the target. He was mocking the shock. His eyes almost jumped out of orbits when Leon was effortlessly hit the target. He confesses that he first tried to hit the target but did not expect to kiss after that. It's just lucky. The seller stands as a struck, not believing himself, asking himself as possible, "Sorry, but your request contains repetitive words and seems incomplete. Can you provide more context or correct the text if possible?" "I will gladly help after receiving updated information." The security guard acknowledges that it is impressive and gives his prize because he wants Leon to take him and leave him faster. Leon thanks him for that. All daughters thank Leon. Weiss thinks that although this guy is usually a little unpredictable, every time he becomes serious, it shows a special charm. Joyce noticed that Leon looks at her carefully, and it raises her question what he looks. The little girl dragon points to the teddy bear, saying the dew of Weiss that she wants him. He also brings with him a large teddy bear. Leon L. She laughs, asking if she noticed the unfortunate expression of the faceless entrepreneur at the end, feeling as if he had released his anger. So I said that, in her opinion, she would just advise them not to waste time for such a children's game. He asks whether she does not like it. What Rossweiss answered with indignation that she did not say it. Leon notes that she is already here and cannot let her return with empty hands. Rosweiss believes that bears are just an inedible food that is not able to saturate. However, she thinks why they are so cute when they turn into toys. He does not pay attention to it and says Leon that after dinner tonight he should come to her room to find her. Leon works. Let's move to the castle while you're here. Leon goes the corridor and thinks that Ross Weissy invited him to his room late at night. And he is here. Something will happen if he comes to her. If he leaves, he will feel inconvenience one night. But if he does not leave, he will suffer a whole week. Maruma that he is about to face it. He knocks on the door but finds that they are closed. He goes into the room thinking where she is, that he came too early and she is still in his soul. He thinks, note that the quality of this glass seems not very high. It turns dissatisfied that it really has to do it tonight. He tried to calm down when looking inside. At this point, Rosviz comes in and reports that he can already start here. Leon. Leon is worried that he will be drawn to the last forces again. Does he have a question about the place of action? Living room or balcony? What exactly? Leon noted that it is wrong and would be inconvenient if others see them. It turns out that in a living room is indifferent to where it is placed. On what? Leon, covering her face, asks her if she will go with him. Brawning on the couch, Rosway asks what he is doing to win. Leon asks if she did not change her mind to do so. So he says it looks dissatisfied, but today is not suitable, and it is better to do it the other day. Take a position by asking which line the document belongs to. Ross Weiss says that these are test questions for the Veyapras families, which the Hida Academy has helped in the past. All questions relate to everyday habits, personality, and experience of partners. They must prepare their answers in advance so as not to influence the evaluation when entering Noe. If they cannot answer these questions, it can cause problems. Lien, looking at the document, notes that these are boring questions from the game of understanding between pairs. Li An meets questions about your favorite color. Rosvis confesses that she likes black and asks Li Ai about his choice. He says that his favorite color is silver. They look at each other. Because of the partner's appearance, they try. They just lower their shoulders, considering it an accident, which Leon also agrees. Also, why not check how well they know each other? Leon agrees, and they start testing. Leon. He laughs, noting that his result is higher than her, and it seems that he knows better the queen. It makes Rosweiss grow from anger. That is why she did not expect that he even noticed her little habits, such as sitting in a certain way or conveniently investing. She realizes that Rosweiss is really very observant, thinks that all her mistakes have arisen because of wrong guesses, and she is used to keeping everything in herself and never share with others. So it is not surprising that his guesses can be false. He believes that perhaps if it is the person, he will be able to cope. Suddenly, she realizes that she has not looked away from him for a while and begins to think about whether he has received a higher score than she and whether she keeps the image on him, trying to smile, claiming that the time spent together was not enough. So it is clear that she could not get a high score in such a short period. And without none, he begs her to try a little better understanding him in The Embarrassment of Ross Weiss. Or the heart begins to beat faster. Bruce Weiss screams that he does not speak nonsense but recorded the correct answers immediately. She is intertwined with doubts about the answers. She assures that he has never been disappointed in it. Ross Weiss agrees, adding that last time there was a great dragon. Leon grunts that he will now eat these pills like food and will not regret. Ross Weiss jokes that, looking forward to it. Scene. The events are carried over the night before the entrance exam. Leon laughs because thanks to diligent work in a week, their results exceeded 80 points for each test question. If they act normally, there will be no problems with family assessment. Rizvi's falls from relief. Like Lee, he assumes that if there are no more things, he will return first. Rosweiss holds him, stating that Leon will never stay here and will not become her fun, trying to escape. Her bathroom has a bathroom. You can take a shower and come back. Leon doubts if he really takes a shower in her room. Roswiz persistently pushes him and orders to take a shower and also reminds you. In the bathroom, he thinks why she insists that he takes a shower here, for no reason, and whether she thought of something evil. But he believes that her nervousness has recently been associated with exams for entry, so everything should be fine. He enjoys the bathroom, believing that no matter what, first you just need to have fun. Because it brings such pleasure. But him? Suddenly the punch enters the bathtub while Leon is too impressed to understand what is happening. She says she has been experiencing great pressure lately and wants to share her experiences with someone. Leo suddenly thinks, realizing that what he was thinking about finally became a reality. Leon shouts, "If she was under pressure, why does it put pressure on me now?" Ross Weiss winks to him, noting that by passing the pressure on him, she can feel relief. Let's ask a few questions in case he did not come here with that mood a few days ago. Leon bit his tongue, not being able to deny the obvious. The Rod jumps into the bathroom, stating that he does not escape, and asks Leon to just give up. Events are transferred to the College of St. Hit on the day of entrance exams, where we seeing numerous huge buildings. Leon is amazed, commenting that this is the College of St. Hit. But Vival does not answer. Leon, looking at Vassell, he jokingly asks that she was wrong with her, adding that he only completed relaxation yesterday. It makes the spreading red, and he sharply responds to Leon, so that he calmly goes to the hell, which causes Leon laughter. During the college, the receptor confirms that Enoa is 3 years and 4 months. Leon Quixote asks if she still has a question, but she refuses to explain. Although the academy indicates the minimum age of young dragons as 1 year, most of the pupils are beginning to study at the age of 4 to 6 years. She adds that Noah seems a little young, but Ross Y interrupts her. Ross Y interrupts, assuring that Noah is very smart, and her age is not a problem. Respect for their views. The administrator invites them to enter, explaining that a special employee is accompanied by Noah to a written test, and parents who accompany are rising to the 4th floor to evaluate living conditions. Reaching the conference room on the 4th floor, Ross Weiss clung to Leon, asking him if he believes that 3 interviewer will be easy interlocutors. Leon quietly replies that one of them, it looks a light target, but before it seized it, it could easily cope with it for 50 rounds. He burns all about excitement. He thinks if they do not want to miss Noah, he will make them feel all the power of this parental pressure. Interestingly, I have been trying to use my time lately to reach the maximum in everything I do. The interviewee, whose appearance is respectful, and the older man is represented as Voltaire Wilson, Deputy Director of the College of St. Hit. He explains that today is responsible for the assessment of 2 parents. They only need to answer his questions. He suspects that this man is not so simple. It is thought of whether some strange problems will arise. Voltaire begins. Asking the question of whether they remember their wedding anniversary, Voltaire is a reaction from Leon and Rua. Ross tried to remember their conversation last night. How to answer such a question because they are not officially married. They obtained on May 25th, on the day they united in the dungeon in 1733 on the calendar of creation. Voltaire Conrad. He notes that they have not been married for 2 years, but for their child for over a year. He emphasizes that such rapid development is striking for them compared to ordinary families. Voltarov. Then he asks if they found any shortcomings or bad habits with their partner during marriage. While companies comment on the situation, Ross Weiss decorates it, which Walter considers a well-considered answer. All emotions at the peak. He addresses Leon to the question of why he feels so. Leon explains that sometimes feels invisible because his wife is so capable that he perfectly copes with all family affairs and upbringing of children. He seeks to make a greater contribution to the family and not to rely solely on her skills. As it is ascertained, Weiss emphasizes that Leon is pretty, responsible, and patient, which makes the impression. Among the interviewees is the one who calls him a careful man. Another asks Roz that she considers the most attractive in Leon. She replies that, although her health has worsened a little, Leon is able to prepare the medicine and care well. Leon. It is internally reflecting whether it is praise or insulting from Ross. Leon slightly squeezed his hand, taking advantage of reminding him that he would not be tired. Interview. Viewers comment that they seem a wonderful couple. End of interview 1. Among them is an advertisement for an additional question that each of them has to answer sincerely. Weiss refuses the question, saying that she has nothing to ask because she already knows everything about Leon. However, unexpectedly, Leon asks Ross Weiss if she liked the bear, whom he gave her. The loosening cannot understand why he asks something that is not concerning the evaluation. However, she still remembered it. She replies that she really liked, perhaps even a little more. Leoning brings joy. Voltaire Cook completes the interview, reporting that the results will be sent to the Temple of a Silver Dragon for several days, and thanks them for their cooperation. Subsequently, Sister Noah reports that the results have already been received. A letter with results that reports that Noah has successfully passed the college exams and invited it. Enter them and visit the entry ceremony in 3 days. The family celebrates the event. Sister Noah praises him as well as their parents. Ross White thanks Leon, who proudly states that Noah's success is her merit and that she is really a worthy of their daughter. Ross will echo. He offers a festive dinner and invites Leon to help, joking that it will remind everyone that he is an indispensable part of the family. College admission ceremony, director. It stands on stage, greeting students with a successful passing of entrance exams and inviting them to a celebration on the occasion of St. Hit College. Meanwhile, students. The director is undoubtedly a man. The pastor reports that among new students, many who are marked by excellent academic success. He believes that only talented students can grow in harmonious families. On the occasion of this, he invites Noah K. Melkwitz, the best student of the flow, with his family to share his experience. Leon, along with their family, take the stage. Leon, Noah, and Ross Weiss descend from it. Leon is nervous, thinking how it happened. Just half an hour ago, he learned that Noah had scored the highest score on the introductory test, and his wife received first place in a family assessment. Although they are satisfied with the opportunity to act on stage as representatives of freshmen and family, Leon is frowning, because this sudden development could not predict this sudden development. He hopes that everything will go well and ready to take his hand so that everything is succeeded. The director notes that Noah is the youngest candidate but won the highest score and is interested in her thoughts and feelings. She also asks if Noah has something she would like to share with them. She tells her that her mother is a very powerful dragon. When she grows up, he wants to become as strong as her. When she expressed her desire to go to school, her mother supported her decision. Mayan's sister has always been around, and she is grateful to her, Leon says whether she remembers him. Noah makes a pause to say that she wants to thank her father most. Every day he helped her prepare for the exams, often remained late at night, preparing the materials. She is grateful to him for what can stand here thanks to his support. It does. Leon is moved, and so she bows her head as a sign of gratitude to her father. The director notes that Leon seems to be wonderful to teach children. He asks, why not kiss her to show his father's love? Leon listens to the director and swears internally, thinking about what he leads. He does not want the whole ceremony to turn into a scene of his father's murder. A month ago, Noah would not even touch him. So how could she allow him to kiss her in public? Leon injury. He tries to persuade Noah, whispering that he is not ashamed because you can just hug. He knows that he is a little awkward to ask Leon to hurry up and finish the kiss. Struck by heard, but when it is already said, Leon gently touches the lips of her forehead, creating a charming moment. Benevan impatiently states that he also wants to join her sister, but the maid barely restrains her, explaining that now you cannot climb. He thinks good that it was not her. The teacher notes how important it is that even the best dragons do not forget to give gratitude to their families. Watching the warm relationships in the Melkovich family, he feels what a real family should look like. Unexpectedly reminds that if Leon kissed his daughter, showing an example of a couple in love, how can you forget about his own wife? Leon and Rasfizes. The young man curses the old dragon, thinking if he is overestimating his capabilities. He believes that it would be better to kill him on the day of the evaluation. Leon squeezes his fist, thoughtfully reflecting that for Noah is the most important ceremony. He has passed many battles, so he is surprised how he can be afraid of such a minor episode. This uprising causes both pain, Leon and Ross Weiss. Ross believes that Leon should protect the family and show the right path, as in the episode from the Leon's Guards. Although Leon is somewhat nervous, Ross charm over it. People watch and have to cooperate with him. Put under quarantine. Tiho apologizes before Ross Weiss when he approaches him. Ross Weiss is thinking that although they slept together and held hands, kisses have not been 2 years. He is surprised why he is so calm, as if only she is nervous. And she is right. She shakes with shame when Leon tries to get closer. Only they are going to kiss. Russian Weissy feels embarrassment, but tries to reject these thoughts, as if it had not happened. She believes that really is not a bad person. Leon suddenly kisses her in the cheek. A moment ago, Leon leaned, and now that is the limit of his capabilities. Parents incite the heated kiss. Leon quill. She asks Russ Weiss whether it is comfortable and easy. Makes her cause her anger. Russ Weiss attaches his teeth. thinking that this guy actually used it to relieve stress. If it wasn't for a large number of people around, it would have been pushed to it, too. The director thanks the family for being a model example this year, giving joy and laughter. He invites them to relax. They say they are ready to go and pick up Noah for the next weekend. She asks Noah to take care of herself. Noah assures that he will do it. Gagan says it will be sad for her. Let him remember the food on time. Do not go out with the choice of dishes. He learns persistently, and if something is unclear, he may ask him while returning to vacations. And most importantly, if ill, that these instructions actually gave her mother when she was drunk because she was aware of it in person. Therefore, he does it for her. Leonova. He says that if she meets a bad character, you should stay away from them. But if they dare to hurt her, she must repel them, because her father will always support. Asks if he ever did something like that when he was at school. The senior confirms that yes, but every time he fell into a fight, his teacher. Noah assured her that he should not worry. His words would not be punished for such a trifle. Noah assures that she remembers it. The Temple of Silver Dragon. In the Queen's office. Rosweiss thinks that a bloody curse is a prohibited magic that can only be used once in life. It uses blood as a carrier, and the cost of its implementation is the life of a spell. She smiles and points out that with some improvements, it can be an interesting way of playing. When she speaks, a shadow quietly comes into the room. The plot appears Shirley, a reliable maid of a Silver Dragon tribe. Crosseswiz asks why the investigation was delayed, which Charlie apologizes and explains that there were no traces of Tiger Lawrence and his wife throughout the Empire. They discuss the disappearance, and Rosweiss is confused that Shirley means missing. Shirley explains that the information was thoroughly deleted, leaving the subordinates without being able to track their location. The Rosapiece thinks that, according to Leon, his owner was an ordinary old man. However, now it seems that it is far from simple. She instructs Sheely to take care of safety and continue the investigation, demanding that you report it if the news appears. Sheely executes the order and goes. He watches Leon, who trains with his daughter. He shows the daughter how to cut the stick properly, demonstrating a successful rack. Noah, watching him, feels both admiration and surprise. She is jokingly trying to repeat, but Elena, seeing her the only blow, knocks Leon from the panther. During training, they join Rose Weiss and her maid, and Noah is joyfully running towards her mother. Rose Weiss is interested in Tisa whether the patrol returned. Tisa hugs Noah and asks if she obeyed her father at home today. Noah is delighted that she is happy, because her father also taught her to keep his sword. Ross Weissy notes that this is not bad, and reports that there will be a dinner soon. She adds that she asked the chef to prepare a steak. Then he asks Noah to go to dress. Remembering the steak, Noah is even more pleased and admits that he loves him. She comes out with the maid, giving Rosvis and Leon the opportunity to stay alone. Rosvis returns to Leon and says, suddenly he points to her branch, trying to scare. Rossi asks whether he really dared to attack her in the Temple of a Silver Dragon, reminding that the direction of weapons on her is a crime of treason for which the death penalty is envisaged. He even asks if she would give up Leon's weapon. Leon is extremely angry with her because of the crime of treason, punishable by death. He denies that it is just a branch, and asks whether the Queen actually considers her weapons. Crossvoice meets with a smile, asking if this branch is a deadly weapon in the hands of the strongest killer of dragons. But she asks if she is not the strongest dragon herself. He jokes further, calling her Mother of Dragons, and suggests that if she wants to praise someone, do it openly, without mysteriousness. Ross Weiser. Leon rejects the question, saying that he wanted to scare her, but it would be pointless if she was not afraid. Ross reasonably replies that he does not believe that a small branch can harm her at his current force. She tells that yesterday she received a letter from Noah, in which he wrote that he had all right, and asked them not to worry. Leon, surprised by such a short letter, asked about the details. She did not celebrate the initiative to answer, but wanted them to know that everything was fine with her. Leon agrees, noting that in this respect, Noah is very similar to Deweiss. He notes that Noah always has a strict facial expression, which makes it difficult to guess what he thinks. However, if you find the right approach, you can get the right answer, and then it is nice to communicate with it. Ross Weiss adds that Noah is admired by Leon Grosevich. She notes that Noah considers him the best student, and she in turn won many victories in the Academy's competitions, firmly tuned not to concede to him. He smiles, confessing that he thought that Noah was just considering him a weak botanist. This voice recalls that when Leon woke up for the first time, Noah often hid from him, but during a coma, she often visited him, finding the reasons for testing for Noah. Leon notes that Noah is as stubborn as he is. It reminded them of their childhood when they cried, and no one came to reassure them. When they were laid near Leon, they reassured almost instantly. She thinks that this connection may have existed before they realized blood affinity. Leon, reflecting on blood bonds, acknowledges that it seems strange, and often he did not feel parental love in his childhood and did not understand what a family was. He remembers the loneliness that prevailed in his life up to 5 years, until he was adopted by the teacher and his wife. Although they were not his family, they treated him as his own son, giving him the first feeling of family warmth. Leon remembers how he felt the loss when he saw other children with his parents. He often dreamed of his master and his wife to be his real parents. Once the wife of his master said that in the future he would become a father for someone. When he asked if it means that he would become their father, he confirmed that it is the family members who want to love, protect, and give them everything. Leon squeezes a fist full of determination. These people are now the most expensive members of the family. Ross Weisse distracts his thoughts, asking why he was frozen and offers to go back. Leon is nervously distracted, thanks Ross for her reflections, and agrees to return when they are preparing for departure. Ross Weiss removes his foot from the shoe. Surprise asks what she is doing. Ross Weiss smiles and says that if he does not want to thank her, he can help put on his shoe. In extreme surprise, Beyond retains calm, trying to understand what she was in mind, while his face looks confused. Rosvas appeals to Leon for a request. Since he wants to thank her, let her help her put on her shoes. This is stunned by Leon, and he asks what she has in mind, asking to help how to get shouting, wondering how it is possible. He reproaches Rosvis, they say. Last time she asked her to wash her legs, and now she wants him to wear it. Leon doubts whether he kept some dignity. To his surprise, Ross Weiss lifts his foot to Leon's face, stating that they have not yet soldered to the fact that he kissed her at the entry ceremony, and now he can't even help her to be shouted. She threatens him by ordering to silence and just do it. Leon is reluctant to obey and wear it. Ross Weiss notes that despite Leon's reluctance, his actions were struck by his speed. He jokes that it is much easier to wear than to wear horseshoes on a donkey. That annoyed Ross Weiss to rage. She tries to hit him with her foot, but Leon has time to evade her attack. For a second, he escaped death. She escapes, mocking Rosways, saying that while he runs quickly, she will not be able to catch him. Rosweiss, squeezing his teeth from anger, murmur that running so quickly, because in the evening he will still have to pay. A few days later, Ross, Leon, and Vina stand outside when the Vane exclaims to his sister. A huge dragon flies above them, forming a huge shadow. The Vanes are delighted with this sight. The Vane, in delight, notes that this dragon is several times better than the previous and even larger than when his sister turned. Ross Fiss is explaining that it is a Leviathan dragon, a giant dragon with incredible endurance and stable emotions. It adds that, despite its huge size, it is not too powerful. Leon, interested, asks if Levi consider truly emotionally stable. Ross Weiss explains that they are talking about Leviathan. They may not come out for millennia, from birth to death. That is why the Academy instructs them to transport dragons. As Noah goes down, Noah returns home and welcomes his mother. She rushes to hug her, and Ross Weissy meets with tenderness at home. When Noah tries to call Leon his father, his words are confused and he is embarrassed. Leon notes that Noah has not been used to calling it so. Returning home, Leon notes that they have prepared many favorite dishes of Noah. At home, Noah shows his reports from different objects with great enthusiasm. The basics of mechanics, the introduction of magic, and the floral volume of the history of clans. It proudly announces that she received the first place in all subjects. Ross Weitz joyfully picks up the news and praises it sincerely. But the secret is revealed. Another item remained. She received 95 points in the physical training test and apologizes that she could not take the first place. Ross Weiss assures her that it is not necessary to apologize, because 95 is a great result. Muin trains, confirming that their mother is right, and in her heart, Noah will always be the best. Leon notes that one of them is difficult for emotions, while the other feels them excessively. He mentally solves that the task, like an old father, is to find a balance between them. Beyond reads the NOAA report aloud, noting that running, bench press, and pulling are the main exercises for physical training. He explains that other students at its level are young dragons aged 4 or 5 years, so it is quite normal that her physical form is somewhat inferior to them. Leon is thinking, however, he notes that she won 9 out of 10 sparring. This is the highest victories in her class. This proves that, despite the lag in power from others, its strength, Noah remembers that she heard from her mother. Leon was the best in all subjects when he studied at school. Leon smiles and explains that when he just came to school, he was not an excellent student. It was only through hard work and perseverance that he managed to rise to the first place. He advises not to lose determination, reminding her that she has a long time to show herself. Noah nods, taking over his words with heart. You can ask if their father is so powerful. Who would win in the fight? He or their mother? Ross Weiss and Leon unanimously respond that they would be able to win this battle. This causes a dispute between them. Beyond laughs and boasts that no one could win him during his combat training, neither in hand-to-hand combat or in the fight against weapons, nor in the use of magical artifacts. Ross Weiss replies that although she has not received many awards at the Academy, she always wins key fights. Their quarrel is exacerbated when Ross Weiss begins to annoy Leon, reminding that he married her because he could never win her. Leon replies that she was unable to overcome him. They received 2 wonderful daughters, Noah and Muin. The tension increases, and Rossi has just decided to resolve the problem through a fight. Both run outwards, determined to prove they're right. Noah and Mue are looking forward to the opportunity to watch the decisive collision. Ross on Earth, having recently stamped and prepared for yourself for battle. She turns to Noah, noticing her interest, and asks whom he considers the winner. Noah replies that her teacher once said that observing the battle of masters can improve his combat skills, so she is looking forward to learning something new of the duel. Lasvias, with a smile, notes that Levon probably has not yet recovered for the battle with the Dragon King. Levon shrugs and notes that it doesn't matter. There is little opportunity to fight with the Queen of Silver Dragons, and he will not give up such an occasion. He suggests a couple. If Leon wins, she will not bother him all month, but if she wins, he will have to fulfill one of her requests. Leon has several questions. Hesitates without knowing what kind of request Ross Weiss can put on, but the thought of a calm moon is a temptation that cannot be abandoned. Accepts the call. Ross Weiss smiles and announces that time to start the fight. When the battle is about to begin, the wind will die in the smooth figures of the participants. And Yen, looking forward to the bench. Suddenly, the juice bank falls to the ground, attracting attention. The attention of both Leon and Ross Axis knew. When the girl in despair exclaims that her pineapple juice spilled, Noah calmly states that the battle had already begun. Ross Visa and Leon rushed to each other. Leon jumped to Ross a Visa to strike, but she bounced. Rosa. The cart confidently blocks the blow of his hands. Movements, like whips, cut the air. Leon is unable to look away. He swallows nervously, trying to realize what is happening. In the end, he addresses Rossi Visas. Leon, but he only succeeded to bend it when sharply retreats back. His hand, directing his aura, strikes Ross Savior's foot, which barely has time to block him. However, she is already retreating back, shaking. She thinks that there is no advantage in physical skills over it, and decides to maintain a safe distance. The characters in this comic book tell a lot about relationships between people. He will tease her, noting that, apparently, Her Majesty Queen does not want to enter him in his melee. She is immobile. She uses her abilities to release a flurry of mysterious, fiery balls towards Leon, answering that it is important only to defeat him. She throws. Leon escaped a series of fiery balls, demonstrating amazing agility. Muen, watching worriedly, he asks if his father loses, because he constantly escapes. They explain that this is not necessary. Their father uses his physical strength to attack and evade the fiery attacks of the mother, while she rests on the strength of the dragon flames to maneuver and find opportunities for the attack. No one notices that this testifies to their mother's uncertainty and victory in the near distance. Muen is amazed, praises his sister for knowledge, to which Noah replies that it is a lesson in their teacher. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Rosvia again attacks Leon, joking that he is incredibly fast and maybe just hiding to survive. Leon, evading relentless attacks, smiles and declares that he is not only fast, but also surprisingly hardy. It is rapidly turning, but he undoubtedly did it, just through the smoke, saying that Ross was too slow, invincible. rushes to Ross Weiss with determination to shorten the distance by shouting words. He will take his single, monthly vacation when he starts his attack. When she was in the corner again, she struck the shock. Turn your words back, Ross White. Although it seems that Leon's magical power has not yet been fully recovered, how he uses lightning magic to strengthen his body to such a level is simply incredible. Smiles with an awareness that is in a dead end and landing. A powerful shock, directed by Ross Weiss to knock it out of balance before falling. Leon Levatov leaves the target and, instead of a blow, takes it by the hand to confidently stop the further movement. Grabbing her hand, he pulls it out of danger, preventing falling. The unexpected movement leads to, and Ross Weiss finds himself in Leon's arms. Ross Weiss blushes, embarrassed by sudden proximity. Instinctively, she feels the power of a real man in Leon's arms, lagging his hand on Leon's chest, causing a splash of mysterious energy. Leonov. It recedes, shouting that it is exhausted, but strange, does not feel the heat as expected. Twice ever, Stern reminds him that the battle is not completed yet, and is surprised how he can be distracted. Meanwhile, Noah and Muvin approach, asking who finally won. He admits that this time he was inattentive and lost. He, bowing his head in recognition, notes that she is really incredibly powerful. Without charming armor or weapons, he was still able to hold on to her. She confesses that no one could only challenge her because of his physical abilities. Leon, confidently demonstrating power, notes that if he would fight the full, he would definitely win. This reminds him of their agreement, which inadvertently affects Leon, because he forgot about her. He falls to the ground as if his soul leaves the body, forcing. They are concerned about whether their father is alive, but Ross Weiss reassures them, assuring that all is well. He was simply overstretched and fainted. Soon it covers. That night, in the nursery of the Temple of Silver Dragon, Leon tells the daughters that after his departure, Noah should take good care of Mwyn. Night in the Dragon Temple. Mwyn is still young and is not well aware, so her older sister Noah should take care of her even more. Leon also says Mwyn that she should live with her sister, obey her and not upset. Mwyn and Noah calmly listen to Leon's instructions. He sighs deeply, almost on the verge of tears, confessing that he is most concerned about separation from his daughters, who is just over a year. He cannot understand how their mother dared to pick him away from them. With an offended face expression, he asks why he makes such a big deal in his mother's home from one night. Leon trembles a little, noting that spending the night under the authority of their mother is, to some extent, much more scary than the rest. Muan interrupts him, saying what he knows what he really wants to have. She says she wants to eat Dad. He adds that she reads in the book how after the wedding, the mantis female eats a male. To which the interlocutor replies that although this is not quite what is happening, the father should still be consumed in a sense. At this point, after listening to their conversation, Ross looks sharply at Leon and asks him to stop nonsense in the heads of their daughters, as if they were a monster. She covers the girls with a blanket, soothing them that you need to go to bed early and not worry. She assures that she only wants to discuss important issues with their father, hinting at the seriousness of the conversation, which makes Leon shudder a little. Hearing this, Leon murmurs under. Ross Weiss grumbles that it is probably about the great mysteries of the universe. Leon Shaposh, asking whether the origin of life is, to which Ross replies, that it is about the deep secrets of the world. Leon grits. Rosvis, using his strength, carefully takes Leon by the hand and removes from the room, stating that his chat is already enough. She calls him to hurry and follow her. Muin accompanies the sister, asking that Mom and Dad are planning to do. Noah shrugs his shoulders, saying that he has no idea, and adds that they should give some opportunity to understand themselves, calling them stupid adults. In the Temple of the Silver Dragon in the Bay of the Queen, in the bedroom, Ross Weiss slowly screws the wine from the glass, watching the growing anxiety of Leon. She smiles and asks if he will join her. Leon shakes his head strongly, giving up. Education stops for a moment. Education reminds that Leon once promised to fulfill her request if she loses to her. And now he not only refuses to drink, but also shows the unwillingness to do it. On replies that he has no desire to drink. In his thoughts, he decides to remain calm and not allow her to manage the events of the evening. But Rob, wise reflections are suddenly interrupted when she confesses that she really hoped for his victory. Squeeze your eyes as you ask. Why? Ross Weiss. If he won, she would have to give him a month of rest. He could then use this time to recover, and everything would become much more important and enjoyable. She will tease him, slightly smiling. Leo. Guff asks why she simply did not give him win. In addition, Vice shook her head, noting that she invented a more interesting way to spend the evening. Without taking a look, he slowly pours dream wine on her chest. He fades. His mind becomes empty for a moment, watching the red fluid descends on her skin. Ross mysteriously tilts his head, smiling and noting that she liked the most, as he refuses to give up, even losing her, what she tries to do. This sage comes closer, ordering Leon to drink it. Leon tries to resist, but confusion prevails in his head. Leon is aware that the combination of the natural aroma of Ross Weiss and the sweet smell of red wine is stunning. The fascination of the picture in front of him is so strong that it is simply impossible to refuse. She tilts, pressing his face to his skin, drinking the wine from his trace. She barely cried. The blush spills on her cheeks. Leon with a smile, confident in his plan. By the time Ross Weiss wakes up and understands that he is not nearby, it will be too late. After a moment, Leon is removed, with a face burning, and asks if that is enough. Ross White. I smile, denying, because she claims that it is not enough. Raise her hand and bite gently. Her lip easily pierced, releasing a small drop of blood. She orders him to open his mouth. Leon hesitates, but without having to react, leans forward, allowing her to drop on her tongue. Biden in confusion. As soon as the taste spreads in his mouth, it spontaneously eliminates. In an effort to reject the influence of Ross, he asks what she tries to do. He asks himself whether she used forbidden equipment on it. Rosvas licks blood residues from the lips, confirming it. She states that it is a bloody curse, adding that he probably knows him well. Leon's pupils expand when a strange, warm wave fills his body. Consciousness begins to spin, and the unnatural heat is poured by its veins. Ross Wides leans forward and says that after he used this forbidden technique on it 2 years ago, she desires that feeling. Leon creaks his teeth, whether she is aware of the consequences of using this technique. Rossways nods, explaining that, of course, he knows. She adds that she changed the technique slightly, minimizing its harmfulness to the dragon's body, leaving only it fascinating the properties. He retreats back, trying to maintain balance. Breathing is intermittent, the body is hot, and the thoughts are confused. Rosweiss watches his struggle and sighs, holding his finger on his chest. She whispers that he always resisted her, and she had to persuade him, to challenge, but he always couldn't make his choice. Leon barely hears her, dizzy with hot sensations inside. Weiss leans closer. Her lips easily touch his ears, whispering that she wants him to let go of all thoughts and focus on this moment. He exhales with surprise when his knees suddenly crumble. She laughs, watching him falling on the bed, and stopping before him, proclaims that the game has started. Her eyes shine with pleasure. Leon trembles when Ross calls him his prisoner with a sly smile, and her voice is full of playful tenderness. When Leon breathes heavily from the curse, Ross White smiles trickily. Her eyes shine from comfort when she laughs at him, saying that he almost loses control of himself. She tilts her head a little, touching him, and asks if he imagines what he looks now. He only shakes his head and denies, but Rosvit smiles in response and laughs a little. It causes a mirror, stating that it is a magical item that it purchased in a celestial city. The mirror is able to store the image briefly. She puts a mirror in front of Leon, smiling mysteriously, and asks to tell him what he really wants. He looks at his reflection. His eyes expand from surprise. His own voice betrays him, confessing that he wants to kiss her. In his soul, he shouts that it is not true. The face is burning from embarrassment, but Rosvis notices his reaction and only continues more persistently. Smartly smiling, she incites him to repeat what he said, but this time louder. Leon exclaims again that she wants to kiss Rosemary. His breathing becomes heavy, he clamps his fists, convincing himself, which, of course, did not mean what he was in mind. Roseweiss takes a step forward. Her smile becomes even wider, watching him. She slyly points out that he looks completely devastated, as if he had rejected his pride and now be pleasures for the kiss of his swollen enemy. Leon turns sharply, decisively stating that he will not kiss her. However, before he managed to understand what happened, his body moves on its own. The next moment, without realizing, he jumps directly on the rows of Wises. Ross Wises. Aswai smiles with a soft funny, noting that such an impatience is not peculiar. Leon, leaning on his arms, feels his mind begins to blur herself. His his lips are slightly revealed when he whispers with words that cannot restrain. He seeks to kiss her, to hug, to become one with her. In the eyes of Rosvis, there is a spark of understanding. She remembers this feeling well. This is exactly how she behaved when the blood curse captured it. She thinks that Leon has finally reached this stage. A barely noticeable smile runs on her face. There will be no return. She says Leon that is his own choice. Leaning closer, declares, "It is time to see his true essence, to feel who he will become when he finally decline." The night unfolds in the haze, so the night sweeps until the morning comes. Leon groans, feeling the pain in the body, and slowly opened his eyes. Tries to awaken. The head pulses out of pain when squeezing his fists, he tries to gather thoughts overflowing with events last night. A wave of annoyance covers it when he realizes that he has been trapped again. He compresses his teeth, a claw-bloody curse for making him reject his pride. His dignity is a dragon's den. When he obeys Rosways again, shame wraps his chest, feeling even more difficult than before. Meanwhile, Ross Weiss, the main culprit of everything, is calmly sleeping next to him. Her breathing is uniform, beyond relaxed, as if she has no worries. It looks completely defenseless. He thinks for a moment, then sighs and says that if that's really, then all is well. He unconsciously stretches her hand to her face, but does it quickly. He returns to reality, asking himself what he is doing and why he unconsciously touched her face. He thinks why he wanted to touch her at all. He just wanted to wake her up, nothing more. He convinces himself that he had absolutely no other intentions. Then it is delayed. She begins to think why she does not respond. Didn't she seem that she was asleep? He looks at her, pulls out her head, and says to stop. He shakes her gently and asks to wake up. Then she asks why she is still sleeping, because she is usually so disciplined. He thinks whether it is influenced by the blood curse. The strength of this spell depends on the physical condition of the sorcerer. When he was on the verge of death, he was the victim of a blood curse. And although it is unknown how he survived, it plunged him in a 2-year one. Instead, Ross Weiss is a healthy queen of dragons. She is likely to remain unconscious for about a week. The smile spreads on Leon's face when he realizes that it is the perfect moment for escape. For an ordinary person of the week, it may not be enough to escape far. But if you are equipped with armor of black gold, everything changes. Dressing quickly, collecting things, and decides that in combination with elixirs and pills to restore endurance, running at full speed should be enough to return to the human world. He laughs loudly, and when this awareness is clarified in my mind, reality returns to him. 2 years have passed since he left the Empire. He does not imagine what the situation is there now. Lower a bottle of potion. Leon thinks, realizing that there are too many irresponsible questions about his detention. Returning without proper training can be very risky. Thinks that it is better to be careful. In addition, he has already asked Ross Weiss to find out what is the situation with the master. It may be worth waiting for her news. The main thing is that it has significant fortune. He must take care of his daughters. He looked out the window where they saw them playing. Leave a comment. Leon softens thoughts, reminding himself that he cannot leave them. A light smile appears on his face when he is aware of this truth. No matter what, it should still remain in the castle of a silver dragon. He has not yet avenged Ross Wessier. In the evening, when Noah and Mouvan go to the room, their anxiety is growing because the mother is still not waking up. Noah calls the mother, asking if everything is fine because she is not waking up all night. Noah looks closely at Leon, suspiciously narrowing his eyes, and asks what he did last night. Leon, feeling the pressure of her gaze, hurries to justify himself, claiming that they just talked on the balcony. Has hastily adds that apparently the cold wind became ill. She tried to blame all the weather in order to avoid unnecessary suspicions. Leon turns to Anna and asks if it is a really big problem. He hopes to hear the assurance, to which Anna responds calmly, asking not to worry. She explains that the doctor from the temple has just examined the body of Her Majesty and assured that, with the exception of slight exhaustion, everything else looks normal. She continues, announcing that she will temporarily deal with the clan case instead of Her Majesty. He asks, if His Majesty has no more tasks, then she will go and start work. Leon seems to approve and encourage her to act with relief. After Anna leaves the room, Muin approaches Ross Weiss, gently laying her hand on her shoulder. She asks her mother to recover faster, promising to never upset her again. Meanwhile, Leon notices that Rosvis is all in sweat. He understands that later he will have to wipe this sweat. At that moment, Noah, who is silently watching him, is over. Noticing Leon's facial expression, she feels something unlawful and expresses her fears, thinking that he conceived something. She blames her father, suspecting that he is trying to do something with her mother while she is unconscious. Comment. Leon leans a little and replies that it complicates everything. He just wants to take care of her well. And Noah studies him carefully. She calls Muin, saying that they are time to go. They will come back tomorrow to see Mom again. Muin returns to Do. Waits calls the mother, promising to come back tomorrow. Then she and Noah said goodbye to her father and left the room, alone. Leon looks back at the figure of the sleeping corner of Weiss. After a short pause, he delves into reflections. He eventually decides to bring a pelvis with water and a cloth to wipe sweat from her forehead. She remembers how he had previously applied her medicine, fearing that she could have a cold. He then thinks that when the Rosie Weiss wakes up, she should not misunderstand his intentions. Watching her, Leon notices that she usually proudly demonstrates her great, elegant tail, but now so exhausted that she cannot even move it. He sighs, carefully wiping her body. When it finishes, hesitates, but she thinks whether it is worth changing her clothes. Looking at, he notices a closet filled with clothing. Opening it, the number of outfits is surprised. Reflecting, decides that since there are so many, you can choose something to your liking. It begins to rush in these things, scattering them around in search of something suitable. In the end, he chooses several outfits: shoulder-free dresses, wide cuts, and elegant dresses. Considering them, he shrinks, realizing the problem: how he should cope with her ears. Suddenly, the idea of using Rosweiss hair to form something looks like ears. He immediately brings the plan to life. But as soon as he finishes, he suddenly feels unclear embarrassment. Earlier, for him, Rosvis is now dressed in a bunny suit. He did not expect it to fit her, but here she was in front of him. Considering it in this form, he feels the unfamiliar warmth in it. Suddenly, the Dracona brand on his body comes to life and enhances the sensation by his heart, sending electrifying impulse through him. The surprised Leon looks at the radiant sign with horror and asks uncertainly, why suddenly a dragon pattern caught fire? Leon's memory permeates a flash. Rosvide somehow explained, if one of the two owners of the dragon's seal feels the attraction to the other, the dragon pattern will respond. The awareness of this makes Leon blush with shame. He fights with him, trying to suppress the inner anxiety. How can he feel such thoughts about Ross Weiss, being absolutely sober? Leon provises himself that this cheeky clothes are to blame for everything. To calm down, he decides to mentally say 3 valor and 3 shames of the dragon finder. Proud for the dedication of the empire. Proud for battles. Proud for justice. He inhales deeply before you remember shame. Repeating these lines once in a while, in the end, he manages to calm his thoughts. But thinking about what happened, he sighs, realizing that something dangerous has happened. However, looking at the current look, he hesitated. He was not thought to be unfortunate not to fix this rare moment. A light smile ran on his face when he suddenly remembered that the solution had his own camera. With a new gust of admiration, he began to dig in her things until he found her. Then he begins to take pictures from different angles, cheerfully giggling. Looking at the image obtained, he mums that even there are such days. He continues to try to call her a smile to fix the joyful face of the punch in one of the photo. Unconsciously, he makes another shot, realizing that this moment is invaluable. He decides that it is necessary to keep these historical photos properly. Suddenly, Ross Weiss makes a slight sound. Exciting. Leon is frightened to the units, screams with fear that she will soon wake up. His heart is trembling. Waiting in silence is stretched. Seconds pass, but the distribution does not make any movement. Leon sighs hard with relief, realizing that it was a false anxiety. Not wanting to take risks, he quickly dresses in a regular pajama. Decides that tomorrow will proceed to the next stage of his plan of revenge. You can finally complete this day. Muin runs to Noah with a face full of panic and calls his sister. Noah returns to her, anxious, asking what happened. Noticing her heavy breathing, Noah asks to calm down and speak more slowly. She inhales deeply before explaining that her Rubik's Cube broke down and she wanted to ask her dad to repair him. However, there is a problem. She cannot find it anywhere. The shadows flashed on her face as she felt something suspicious. She was thought. And suddenly he escaped until his mother was unconscious? She gently takes Moon by the hand, soothing her, saying that she will go with her to find it. They broke out of place, searching the area in search, and exclaimed, asking where their dad is. The scene changes. Everyone has frozen in place. No one went in search of a father. They call him, asking where he can be. Without finding it in the bedroom, they decide to check other rooms. Moving from room to room, Moon notes that he does not seem here. They continue their search but find out that it is absent in all other rooms as well. IN. In despair, Moen looks even into the garbage basket. Noah, looking at this senseless action, asks himself thoughtfully, how can their father be in a trash basket? But she claims that she cannot find him anywhere, and she wonders whether he is lost. No, insists that although some people are good, sooner or later they still leave you as it happened last time. Muin, puzzled, asks about that case, to which Noah replies that probably that man has already disappeared. She always felt that there was something special in their family. At first glance, everything seems harmonious, but in fact, a lot is fake. The old woman asked them to smile at the account 3 while they were photographed together. And this old woman, as much as she remembered, that man always slept in this room, and his mother told that he was their father. One day, he finally woke up and tried to escape, but his mother stopped without any explanation. He has not been trying to escape again, but Noah is not sure that he really wants to stay. After a while, he began to closely converge with them, trying to make a good impression. He taught it different things, demonstrating himself as a good father. Then he joined as Leon. She doubts whether he does it really out of love for them, or is it only a part of his plan to secretly find a way to escape when they lose their vigilance. She confesses that if there are hidden motives in love, she would prefer to avoid such unclean love so as not to become a means for someone's escape. She is sure that he is alien here and will leave them sooner or later. With tears in her eyes, the woman sighs that their mother does not wake up, and her father disappeared. She desperately turns to Noah, asking how to be on. Noah reassures his sister, promising that he will protect her. They hug. Men's crying fades loud when Kanoa strongly states that a farewell ceremony should be prepared for this man. The events are transferred to the hill behind the Temple of the Silver Dragon, near the forest with flowering plums. Walking through the path, Leon admires the landscape and notes that the servant has not deceived. This place is really wonderful. He remembered how the maid asked if he wanted to know where to walk Her Majesty Queen. Leon confirmed that he really wanted to take a stroll there. The nanny offered someone to accompany him. However, Leon refused, saying that he could go alone and only asked to mark the place on the map. Now, in a quiet environment, Leon notes that his freedom of movement was limited. He only managed to get out because the dragon's mother is fainting, decides to take this opportunity to explore the surrounding landscape and plans to surprise it when it wakes up. Smiling, he confesses to himself that he was exploring the terrain as if the dragon's mother loves. Only a cover. In fact, it is part of his plan for revenge. He seeks to take advantage of her helpless when she wakes up and humiliate her in the place she appreciates. Just as she disgraced him in front of his home, he approaches a powerful tree, is sure that its thickness is suitable for his plan. When he inspects the soil and mutilates that it is too small for its purposes. It would be great if, when the time came, it was covered with flower petals. It turns to the side of the castle and notices that from this point of view you can see the Temple of the Silver Dragon, located at the foot of the mountain. He records this place on his list. The Northern Rock, the Golden Lawn, the quiet mountain stream, and the Soccer Forest. Having gladly noting that this place is also on the list, he proudly states that everything is ready. He only has to wait for the solution to wake up. Look forward to the difficulties awaiting the Dragon Mother. The scene moves to the courtyard of the Temple of a Silver Dragon, where Leon walks at night. He notices a group of maids that are soaked near a bright fire. Approaching them from behind, Leon asks what happened and why the atmosphere is so alive. Sobbing, the maid says that 2 princesses want to spend the funeral and are asked to prepare a fire. Mon sadly expresses his condolences about the loss of his father, promising to devote to him a fire and hoping that he will come back to see them. However, he corrects her, emphasizing that he has already gone and they need to let go. He watches what is happening, first thinking it is just a game like a friendly family. He hesitates whether he should just adapt to this situation right now. He casts a look forward and a gesture asks the maid to retreat. Surprised by the presence of its highness, they are hesitant. He seizes who is so worshipping so much. Humorously, my grandfather taught him to play on the dab and asks if they want him to play them. At first smiling, notes that the photo looks quite attractive. But then, however, when he comes closer and looks at the table, he is surprised to notice his own photo. The reality struck him as if he were thunder in the clear sky. Puzzled, he asks why his photo was on the table and why people express his compassion. Seeing his father in front of him, Noah and Muen feel a great surprise, pointing to the unexpected appearance of Dad. Lee, Lion, with a sadness on his face, quietly asks for his daughter, whether they are in no hurry to hold his funeral, because he was absent only one day. If she dreamed, it will mean her death. Without hesitation of a second, she rushed to Leon, shouting that her dad had returned. She cried, repeating what she thought that he didn't want it anymore. Mentally strokes her on her head, reassuring. What a fool, she says. He emphasizes, how can Dad not want to be with them? Noah twisted her lips and said that she and Muin searched him several times in the temple, but did not find it. She thought he had left them. Leon was charming, asking why he would go. He explained that he just went for a walk in the mountains today. Noah realized that she had miscalculated the situation. The cloth raises Muyen and turns to the maids, assuring them that everything is fine now, and invites everyone to return home. He gladly asks if she can now taste his gratitude because he returned. Leon smiles and assures that of course she can. One rapidly runs to the gift, praising what he is wonderful. And Leon thinks that she is not exactly like him with her insatiability. At that time, Noah will exclaim to Leon, reminding that the next time he goes back himself, he should at least warn them. She insulted her lips, confessing that Mohan was very worried about him. Leon laughs and apologizes that made them worry. He realizes that Noah, although he is difficult, obviously, he is worried about him but too embarrassed to directly admit it. Noah subsequently lowers his head and admits that the whole situation has arisen because of her distrust of him. She bows and sincerely apologizes. Leon, stunned, mentally asks for himself whether the whole process of farewell was the result of his misunderstanding. He notes that no one would have learned if she said nothing. He understands that special children always assume a share of responsibility for mistakes, even if not completely guilty. However, he acknowledges that this misunderstanding eventually arose because of its inability to provide Noah with a sense of security. He realizes that he seeks warmth and love, but does not dare to take the first step towards. Now she will probably be difficult to trust him. As a father, the best he can do is to show his love and support through constant actions. Leon sits next to Noah, gently strokes her head, showing that everything is fine. With warmth in his voice, he proposes to go together for dinner. She adds that she should remember the school tomorrow. Inside, he promises always to be near so that she never feels abandoned again. The next day, the stage is transferred to the queen's bedroom. Nanne sits next to the solution, watching her carefully. She is slowly waking up. Immediately after awakening, she calls her mother. Her eyes are red. Her eyes are filled with tears, and she exclaims that all this time she was sleeping and worried about her. Rosva, still feeling weak, gently wipes the tears of Mun. She apologizes for making her worry. She notices that her body is losing strength and magical abilities do not work. Rosweiss thinks that usually her body of the Dragon King is able to withstand the side effects of the reverse stroke of the bloodstream. However, she suspects that her current state is a consequence of the use of force to save that man earlier. Reflecting on Leon, she suggests that, knowing his character, he probably fled. Stretching a smile, Rusauzu is wondering how long she has fun. Moan immediately replies that 2 days have passed. Rusazaz again asks how much time she was unconscious. Weiss thanks for the fact that in 2 days he could not escape far, so there is still an opportunity to send someone to catch him. She plans her further actions thoughtfully. Liang comes in holding a large fish and asks in Mu, Sung, how about fish for dinner? He notes that he had just caught this big fish in the mountains. Weiza solidifies with surprise while the moon radiates admiration. She exclaims that he is extremely impressive. Leon, smiling, enjoys her signs of admiration and notes that, of course, her dad is wonderful, seeing that Roswar woke up, greeting her, asking why she is no longer sleeping. Rose still tries to grasp the situation and asks why he is here. He smiles and shrugs his shoulders, hinting that there is nowhere else to go. He only went to the back of the mountain to enjoy the fresh air and catch fish to reinforce the body of his beloved wife. Rose Y, suddenly embarrassed, turns away and quietly asks whom he implies by his love wife. Muen is quietly giggling and teasing his mother so that she is not ashamed. Leonie. Niels approaches Muen and hands her fish. He reports that she has a very important task for her. If she can deliver the fish to the kitchen, then even more. When Salute, playfully confident, reassures to entrust it to her, with these words, she grabs the fish and flies out of the room. When she disappears from sight, Leon calls her, reporting that her mom and dad have topics for discussion, so they will start dinner a little later. She waves her hand without turning back. When they remain alone, Rosawaza narrows the eyes, looking at Leon. She noticed to him that she was sure he would leave his daughter and run away until she is unconscious. John smiles, noting that there are many unresolved things between them. So why not he flee? We are all very sorry, I especially. Her smile becomes cunning when she asks whether he remembers what she did with him when he woke up more than a month ago. Solution. Admired by surprise, surprisingly clips and asks what she did. Another person is not aware that he is beginning to be aware. Not frown, Vaden says with a wicked smile, realizing that she is in mind. While Rhoda wicked Leon, so that he did not think that he could afford anything because of her weakness, she at the same time advised him not to act as a splash. However, instead of frightening, Leon smiled with the ladies. His face radiated pleasure. He swore that all her pride and dignity came from there. However, it is already dead now. He smiled when he was doubting if he was weak at the time. He continued to emphasize that when he just woke up, he did not even have time to drink water as she applied a dragon pattern on him and pushed it. He asked sarcastically if she gave him the opportunity to give up. Rose Weiss is a man. His face darkened when she warned him that she would happen as soon as she completely recovered. Her voice obviously spoke of the threat, and she clearly made it clear that if he did not stop now, she would regret her actions. She did not hold back to convey the consequences. However, instead of admitting her mistake, Leon only laughed at her, denying a warning and mocking that she had dressed her in her clothes as if she were his dear wife. Without no hesitation, he lifted her firmly in his arms, stating that it was the best decision he has ever made in his life. Added that, this time the situation has changed. Now she became a prisoner of war. His words were touched for alive, but Ross Weiss had no opportunity. In the cherry grove on the back hills, Ross Weiss continued to fight him desperately, trying to push him away. She demanded. To leave her alone, her despair grew with his evil with every moment. However, Leon kept calm, in despair. The solution could not help but think about its current position. If only she had returned her strength, she would have overcome it for a long time. Getting out, looking at the cherry blossom, the solution returns. The solution cast Leon a sharp look and asked why he brought her here. Without delay, Leon explained that during her fainting, he took advantage of the chance to study this place carefully, because she often was there. It was outraged by his disappointing answer. She demanded explanations for the first stop. She asked if he planned to take her somewhere. Without giving a direct answer to her questions, Leon pointed to a certain place in the distance. He explained that it was her temple, and it was from this point that she had a full review. There was a depth in his voice that hinted at something more. By narrowing her eyes, she immediately suspected his true intentions. Wasting time, she asked if he was seeking revenge for his hometown. Activating. Leon, looking into her eyes, confirmed her assumption, noting that the opportunity to treat others as you see fit is not the exclusive right of her clan of dragons. But why suddenly? She felt a strange feeling when her dragon sign sounded in a beat. Her body was weaker, and she realized that energy was stepping rapidly. This feeling caused anxiety, and it was difficult for her to maintain calm. Meanwhile, Leon continued to speak, noting that although he is a man, to look forward, noting every detail of her palace. He reminded, she was in a situation where she could not do anything except to allow him to manage herself. Lee pushed Russwise and she lost her balance. Then he asked how funny, humiliated with the dragon hunter. His voice was the wise exclamation of blinking, and she inadvertently tried to resist. However, her body obeyed instinctively, complicating the fight against herself. Suddenly, the idea came to her. In her thoughts flashed a lightning idea, and she wrapped his tail with Leon's hand, trying to stun him. It was a real moment for Leon. She realized that she still had enough strength to resist, which was a surprise for her. However, Leon kept easy, watching her reaction. Small Gardle. She brushed her teeth and warned him. He is keeping control, but let him enjoy it until it lasts. It was said clearly and unambiguously. It was clear that, having received this opportunity, she would carry out even more cruel revenge on him. However, Lee only laughed back, waving her words. He asked not to talk to him about the future because he is always life in the present, saying that the night is still long and the carnival of revenge has just begun. Scene. The action is postponed until the morning of the next day in the bedroom of the Queen of Silver Dragon, Leon Layton. Rose V's quietly went down and relieved sideways, sighing relieved. He noted for himself that he finally returned from the expulsion. Still feeling fatigue from turning her all night in different places, he reflected on the events that happened. He noted how she slept firmly, thinking that the evening was quite successful. However, the story remained clearly in memory. This thought made him shudder. After all, he first came here for the sake of revenge, and now as if he grew up over the situation. Shaking his head, he tried to drive away contradictory thoughts. He recalled that she completely felt humiliation when she was under pressure from the dragon she most despised. He reassured himself with the idea that revenge had come true, firmly deciding to lead his path. Before the maid woke up, Leon decided to return to his room. He realized that their relationship had not yet reached the level to meet Dawn together in bed, but he barely was about to move, Ross Weiss appeared. Muan hurried to her father, shaking him to wake up. He reached out and grabbed him. It unexpectedly struck Leon, who tried to gather thoughts. I realized that during sleep, people instinctively seek heat. He reminded himself that it was the general natural instinct of all living things, and it would be worth not allow this to influence yourself. However, when he came out, he did not feel like he was next to her, carefully holding her hand. He felt much warmer here than in a cold bed in another room. A light smile appeared on his face, and he decided to stay in this place at least a little. The next morning, when the window was sung by the birds, Moen went to the room trying to wake up his mother. She asked if the mother was still sleeping. Jump! Leaning to his mother, Muin tried to wake her up. She said that the sun lightened his back. Leon, still immersed in a dream, said sleepily that he was feeling warm and asked to give him a little rest. Watching them, Moonfrauen expressed her annoyance. She noted that they hug so firmly that she does not even imagine who she can play with now. However, something seemed strange to her. She asked herself why their bodies were covered with numerous red spots. She was ill with the idea. It could be insect bites. She rushed to the table and began to rush in it, remembering how her mother taught her to distinguish between different types of bites. She decided, if someone was bitten by a person, then the bitten person should be human. She searched and came across a jar with the inscription, Cream of 10,000 Dragons. Hearing this with a triumph, she was convinced that there were no reasons for excitement. The sister was absent, so she took over this duty. I am sure that she could take care of them well. Full of enthusiasm, she gladly applied ointment on both Ross Weiss and her father. A little time passed, and Rosa Weiss finally decided to wake her husband. When he began to wake up, Leon, she felt something strange on her face, which caused surprise. He noticed that their bodies were covered with unusual signs. He turned to the face of Ross Weiss and, seeing her condition, breaking out laughing. Tuz, puzzled by his reaction, asked what was wrong with him. At that moment, Muin gladly confessed that she was the culprit of the situation. She thought they were bitten by insects, and it made her act. However, Muin remained in a good mood, proudly claiming that she had a great job. The father, picking up the game, praised her efforts, agreeing that she really worked well. Feeling even more confidence, she promised that next time she would help to use the medicine again. In this thought, Rose and her husband exchanged his eyes, silently deciding that in the future the door would remain closed. Rosemary appeared a little later. When she was resting, Leon tried to feed her, but he simply pushed the spoon into her mouth, explaining that because of malnutrition, she lost his strength. Reminding that dragons could do without food and water in a sleeping condition, he insisted that she was accurately hungry. That is why he was reluctant to argue that she was quite capable of eating on her own. However, having tasted food, she acknowledged with some hesitation that she was not so bad. Watching her reaction, Leon smiled, took a piece, and proudly noted that it was fried rice cooked with love. In addition, upset, she noted that the dish was cooked for her and asked why he also eats it. He took a bowl, assuring what he was only helping because she doubts that she will be able to eat everything. These words caused indignation at Rasweiss, which with a call stated that she would eat everything on his own and he would no longer get a single spoon. Eating the contents of the whole bowl, Leon stopped to think about recent events. He looked after her. He helped swim, prepared food, and even fed it. Although she recognized his efforts, she still felt some confusion. She wondered sarcastically whether he did all this just to mock her. Instead, he insisted that it was a manifestation of love from a caring man. But his words only aggravated her annoyance. Leaving a room with a smile, he stressed that she would not forget to see him in the morning. In despair, she struck her fist on the edge of the bed. However, when her hand met the surface, the unexpected force permeated her body. Surprised, she noticed something unusual when she began to look carefully at her surroundings. She suddenly realized that her strength had returned to her. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, her husband, pleased, sang under his nose. He was believed that the dragon's mother had not yet fully restored strength. Anna, entering Ross Weiss's room, turned to Her Majesty, assuring that liquid medicine from a doctor would help her restore strength. Putting a bottle, Russian Weiss noted that her body had already recovered, so there is no need to drink the medicine. Anna tried to convince Ross Weiss in the opposite, but her attention was attracted by a broken wall. After noticing this, Ross Weiss explained that she could not accidentally retain strength and destroyed the wall. She assured that someone would come to repair her the next day. Anna nodded in understanding and was about to leave, but suddenly, before Anna had time to step, she heard the voice of Rosa, who called her again. Surprised by the request, Rosvis laughed quietly. Meanwhile, Rosvis smiled, smiling, noting that the quiet days of Leon will end. 2 days later, she was looking forward to her father in the garden, expressing her desire to master the brilliant technique that forced his body to shine. Leon, a little surprised, asked if it was a radiant effect. That is, magic. She confirmed it with delight. Her facial expression reminded that it was the same ability he was demonstrated and her mother on the training ground. Leon asked why she suddenly had an interest in magic. She explained that her sister was studying a lot at school and she did not want to lag behind. Leah, recognizing her determination, he asked if there was something specific why she wanted to learn. In response, MWW confirmed this. With a warm smile, Leon assured Nguyen that her father would inevitably teach her magic, and they would start with the main leadership. Nguyen, overflowing with joy, sincerely thanked Dad. Subsequently, when Mion carefully improved her magical abilities, Leon successfully directed magical energy through her body. He suggested that she could soon reach magical enlightenment and start working with the original magical power. Leon and his team realized that they could not rush to workouts. In the end, he successfully passed the test. Gwen realized that the workout is completed today and it is time to go home to have a snack. Enchanted by results, she exclaimed that her father is the best. That night, when Anna entered the room, she gave Her Majesty an object, noting that it was what she ordered. Rose Weiss accepted him and instructed Anna to postpone the thing. See you? At this time, Leon entered the room with an exultation, happily congratulating his wife. Rose Weiss expressed gratitude to Anna for her effort and reported that she could already go home. Leon recalled that, as Anna said, it would take 5 days for full recovery of Rose. With a wicked fire in his eyes, he thought that he had enough time to treat it with small tests. Humorously moving with his fingers and with a tricky smile, he offered a Russian massage if she feels discomfort. Without hesitation, he hugged the Russian. Comrade, the courage is striking, so the body is probably stable as steel. Removing the outerwear, he warned her that she would regret her mockery. But to his surprise, immediately saw Lion with his tail, jumping it suddenly. He was thrown at the bed, completely defenseless. When Rosve sat on him, Lion was stunned by her incredible force. Carefully, Wildar asked if she had already recovered. Rosvitzius laughed, calling him her expensive killer of dragons with an ironic shade. Then she got the objects that Anna brought, handcuffs and whip. Leon, realizing the situation, became clearly nervous. He asked himself in surprise when she had time to prepare such things, but did not have time to react like his. His wrists were fixed and a bandage was thrown into his eyes. He muttered his nose, asking whether he was accidentally trapped. The solution with a tricky smile warned him not even to try to resist. Leon, not yet believing in what was happening, asked if she plans to torture him to extract the confession.